And streaming online and in the Odyssey app at The Fan Rochester. The sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950. The Fan Rochester, an Odyssey sports station.
It's time to start the show and talk about the sports we saw. Inside jokes and takes from Danger and Battaglia. Bills and the Sabres and the Ambers. Who gave a microphone to these jerks? Welcome to the sports bar, that's where you are. Welcome to the sports bar, that's where you are. Welcome to the sports bar, that's where you are. With Danger and Battaglia.
Yeah, you found the sports bar, 95.7 FM. AM 950, The Fan Rochester. Welcome and pull up a stool with us. Gene Battaglia with you. My buddy, terrible take, terrible time, Timmy.
Anytime you can hang out with somebody who is referred to as terrible has to be just the greatest of times.
Tim, your situation is much better than mine.
It is, yes.
I will explain what predicament I am in today. Maybe you could relate. Let me set up the show real quick as we have 3 hours of sports talk excellence in the Flower City coming your way. Coming up at 4:25, it is Tuesday. It is the day you should be looking at your fantasy football roster. He's our resident expert. He's with the NFL Network. Michael F. Florio joining us at 4:25 today. Certainly he also has a lot of takes on the Buffalo Bills. If you watch Michael F. Florio on NFL Network, whenever he's doing one of their hits, you know, you can tell he's doing it from the home office, right? But he's got the Bills helmet right behind. So he does the Sick podcast there with Stevie Johnson, also a Met fan. I don't know how much Met talk we'll do today. What is there to say? We're frustrated. Michael F. Florio joining us at 4:25. Matt Perino, bottom of this hour, as the Bills, it could be a historic point spread against New Orleans when we get the kickoff. We'll get Matt's thoughts on this matchup. And, you know, how did the Bills measure against everybody else in this chase that began week one for the postseason, it feels like. Matt Perino, Syracuse Post-Standard, The Shout podcast. You are always welcome to join us at 866-4FAN, 866-4326. We are streaming in the Odyssey app for free. We are on YouTube and Twitch. Hello there. You can leave a comment there. And as I always say, you can write to us on X. Give us a minute there. Your best way to reach us is by phone. So, Tim, when it comes to car maintenance, I think I'm a pretty responsible guy. Like, hey, if it's you're getting the oil change that's due every 5,000 miles, I might push it to 5,500, but I'm not letting it go too far. When the registration's up, I get it done in that month. I'm usually doing everything normal. So it's getting time for an oil change, and it's late August, and quite honestly, like in our business, it's a really busy time of year whenever you change seasons. Everybody wants new ad written. You got to produce things. And, well, certain things like oil changes kind of get pushed to the side. So
Sure.
Finally, I get around to this. Now, going along with this oil change, this happened also like a month ago around the same time that might have said, hey, you might need an oil change, where I'm just driving a car. Now, for the purpose of this story, everybody, okay, I'm just going to recuse names, and I'm not going to tell you when I'm driving, okay? Because I don't want any issues on the back end of this. So I'm driving my car, and all of a sudden I hear a little hum, like zzz, and it's coming from the engine. I'm thinking, okay, that sounds like a belt. Better get the oil change. So this is 2 weeks ago. I take it in to the local garage. It's a Friday morning, just so I can get in, get out, get to work, right? And I mentioned, I'm here for the oil change. Hey, there's a sound in front. Can you check this out? Sure. Let me drive around. Okay, so the guy takes my car down, which is always kind of weird, right? Like,
Yes.
Hey, stranger, go take my car. You're not on my insurance, but, I need you to hear what this sound is. So he drives it for a couple minutes and then comes back, but doesn't come back to talk to me. Drives into the garage, and I hear him telling the owner of said repair garage, I don't know what he's talking about. I didn't hear anything. I'm like, okay.
Awesome. That's helpful.
That's
what I was looking for.
That's terrible customer service, okay? Like, to say something like that within earshot, I'm like, okay. thinking maybe this is just related to the oil change, which, again, a little bit overdue, but not much. Really not much. Like by a few weeks, okay? No problem. Oil change gets done. Here's your car. I pay my bill, get back into the car, pull out, and then, and forgive me for the bad sound, that noise. I'm like, okay, like, so now I go back in, and I'm not even 60 seconds around. I'm in the lobby, and I'm just looking around. And I'm like, okay, the owner's not here. Is he hiding from me? What's going on? So I decide to walk back into the Bay Area because I know he's there. I'm like,
power move.
Hey, yeah, that is right. Hey, I know, finger quote, Gary said there was no sound and he didn't know what I was talking about. But since I just paid my bill, would you mind just getting in my car and I'll drive? Okay, yeah. Gets in the car, take it 1 block. Do you hear that? Oh yeah. Yeah, I hear that. Okay, yeah, you bring it back in. Yeah, can you, we'll take a look at this right now. I'm like, well, actually, I got to get to work now because I'm thinking it's not that big a deal. Can I come back next week, same time? Let me look. Yeah, you're down. Gene, really sorry about that. We'll see you next Friday. Okay. Is the story done? Oh,
never is.
No, so I come back to the same garage, right? I come in, you're like, yeah, hey, I'm just here for 8 o'clock. Oh, sir, were you planning on leaving the car the whole time? But I'm like, actually, I have an appointment. Oh, no, I'm sorry. We're kind of booked. I'm like, okay, well, owner blah, blah, blah is, we could call him because he must have forgotten to write it down. Well, I can check it out real quick. So then the head mechanic comes out and he's like, well, I
like the different voices just to make sure that you're talking about somebody different.
Yeah, I'm not Gabriel Iglesias. I'm not Fluffy, but I'm doing it. Well, I'm going to tell you something, but you're not going to want to hear it. I'm like, okay. Yeah, that hum, I think that's your transmission.
Hell yeah. No problem at all.
Really? Yeah, we don't do transmissions, and the good news is you can bring it back to the dealer. I know I can bring it back to the dealer. Now, in the back of my mind, I'm like, your teammate here disparaged me in a way. Like, I don't know what he's hearing. The owner said I hear it. Okay, fine. So that's where I'm at today. The car, again, just to recuse everybody's name here, it's at the dealer, and I haven't had this. And you know what life is like when you don't have a car, Tim? That your wife, it's like she's your mom. She has to drop you off. And then tonight, wife is coming to pick me up. Yes, I suppose I could Uber, but you know what? I have an Uber. Her name is Julie. So, again, I feel like I'm 15 years old today.
Left at the mercy of others.
And not knowing, well... Again, I think this would be covered by my warranty, a transmission, but...
I hope it is for your sake, but it's also an absolute headache and a nightmare to be reliant on others to do your stuff.
By the way, like if somebody is listening in a garage and be like, you know what, we should have, you call me. Like, we're open for endorsement because I just went through this experience.
Yeah, that's a struggle.
Yeah, 866-4FA. 866-4326. So that's where my mind's at today. Like, okay, went through 2 weeks of this nonsense and then still haven't heard back yet. And I might be making a call over to now the dealer saying, okay, what do we have? Because I dropped it off last night. So I didn't have a car last night either, Tim. Just borrowing. And at least I didn't call you for the ride.
If you need a ride, I can give you a ride. You've done enough for me.
You're always that dependable.
I can help you out.
You're that guy.
If you need help, I can help you. If somebody else can help you, that's fine too. But you'll be taken care of. Maybe not by the dealer or whatever, but your friends got you.
There's one note today from, I'm just going to say football in general, where used to be like NFL teams would move on from head coaches. Well, we're still waiting for that. It's only week 4 we're entering. A lot of people were speculating that Mike McDaniel would get, let go. We were talking on the show yesterday. Hey, Brian Daboll, you should be out. And Daboll did the prudent thing finally. And, okay, we're going to start Jackson Dart. Really? You should have put him in the second half. You cost some development time there. if not yourself a chance of winning that game Sunday night. But I digress, Tim, because, hey, the NFL, that's pros. We should also acknowledge that college football is also a different form of professional football. It really is. Like, we need to have another name. It's case in point, today Oklahoma State firing Mike Gundy.
Come after me. I'm a man. I'm 40.
The all-time quote from Mike Gundy.
Mike Gundy letting emotions get the best of him, which you may have heard that soundbite over the years. By the way, he's 58 now.
Yeah, no longer 40.
He's 58. He's going to get $15 million paid. Walk away. Leave. If we were all so fortunate, Tim, $15 million, right? Okay. Mike Gundy with his hair and his name, he'll probably end up on Fox Game Day at some point or some other talking head show. But we just got to acknowledge that, like, 10 years ago, colleges were firing coaches after week 3.
Things are not what they used to be.
No, they are not. So you're just another form of professional sports, college football, which is fine. It's fine, and maybe that's the way it always was, and we're just now out in the open with it. And good luck to anybody that thinks, oh, wow, we're going to turn this around to Oklahoma State. Really?
Maybe eventually. It's going to take some time. And you can't lose to Tulsa and have everything be okay.
No.
I mean, you get fired in week 3 when you lose to teams like Tulsa, the little brother of the poor in Oklahoma. You cannot be a state school losing to Tulsa.
This is only a couple years ago they were getting to a bowl game, though. It was, a couple years ago. Now 3. Like, I'm thinking of that Oklahoma State game against Baylor, and that was actually a decent game for Terrell Bernard. And it's like, well, we're a few years remain from that, aren't we? So, removed from that. So, who will be the next guy? I can't wait when North Carolina gets to the end of the season.
It's going to be
fantastic.
It's a TV show with that guy every week now, too. Like, he's not. It does not appear that he is having a good time. He is struggling. He hasn't adapted. And, I mean, with all the outside drama on top of it, I mean, if I'm North Carolina, maybe you don't move on from him, but you definitely want to separate yourselves as soon as possible before it's too late.
Well, this is the honeymoon's over with Belichick in North Carolina. The honeymoon this week, if you lose, or even if you're behind early to Clemson, a team that, okay, they're caged animal. They're dangerous. They're not very good this year.
We learned in real time over the last month or so that they are not a top 10 team that they were projected to be. You can't struggle against Troy, get embarrassed by Syracuse. Congrats to Syracuse, but also that win is kind of diminished because of how bad Clemson might actually be.
Well, Clemson, getting the overtime loss also at Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech is ranked. I'm going to say Clemson. I think this is fair. They're still a bowl team, Tim. They're not a national contender, okay? And that is Dabo's kind of cheap logic there that everybody's kind of spoiled and the expectations were, well, look, you're coaching Clemson. You should have high expectations. I still expect Clemson to go in there and win against North Carolina. The fact that North Carolina just doesn't look good. Couldn't even get to double digits against UCF.
There it is. I was hoping you were going to get it right.
UCF. We don't call them Central Florida, and you certainly don't call them Central.
You learn the hard way and embarrass yourself the same week. That's tough. Like Bill Belichick going through it right now.
Yeah. So that's one where we get to the end of the story. Does he get fired? I think it's probably just a statement, right? Today was a firing. Mike Gundy fired. It's like they were happy to put that out there.
That's tough for him because he's been around for so long. He made a name for himself 18 years ago with that post-game presser. Belichick's been around even longer. I think because of what he's done in the NFL, it'll be him doing it, but it'll be North Carolina penning it, basically saying, you're out of here, get gone, but you can do it on your own terms.
Tim is all in his Cleveland gear. I'm not talking about Browns.
Yeah, it's baseball season.
It's not baseball season. Okay, baseball sucks.
I don't know. I'm excited.
Show it's sarcasm here. Tim's team's doing fine. Mine is. I was talking with Dan DeLorean before. I have bargained with myself that I don't want to see the Mets make the postseason, because what are we doing here anyways? Like they're gonna win one, lose one, win one, and it's gonna come down to the final day. And I'm like, I just want to watch the Bills game. I don't want to be watching and paying attention to what the Mets are doing in Miami. By the way, how many people are actually going to be in Miami for that game? 500, maybe. The diehard Met fans are going to be any Marlin fans, but
it's exciting, though.
It's exciting. Like, the thing about sports, for as bad as a team or as dysfunctional as your team may be, they're going to give you something eventually to smile about. And Tim, for you and every Browns fan last week, I'm happy for you.
Thank you.
I'm thinking, what disaster is going to befall us now? And the disaster is like, oh gosh, Schmidt's going to miss this, and it's going to go to overtime. It's going to be some other disaster, and you like all pain. And here it is, the game Green Bay handed to you on a silver platter and said, "Here, take it." You actually took it. Congratulations. Like, one day the sun is out for Browns fans.
Couldn't believe it. And the crappy part about it is, at the same exact time that all this is unfolding, Cleveland's bullpen unravels for the first time in 2 weeks. So it was like I could only barely enjoy it, because right now the Browns aren't in a spot to make the playoffs.
Stop. It's exactly what I was talking about with Dan DeLorean, because Dan DeLorean, like, hey, he's a Viking fan. Wow, you must have been really happy. He's like, well, it was... And this is me doing other voices. Like, yeah, it was kind of short-lived, Gene. Why? Well, after that, I put on the Met game. Like, no, don't do that to yourself.
It's tough. Like, if we're looking at each thing just as their own separate entity, yeah, that Browns win was phenomenal. Unfortunately, the Guardians are in a more prone spot right now for playoffs, and they faltered, and now they've got the biggest series of their season. And 2 weeks ago, we sat here talking, for me, waiting for it to be painfully over. And now they have a 3-game set against the team right in front of them in the standings. And I am all in on it. Like, I would, if I was not here right now, I would be in Cleveland for that entire series. And the Browns are happening, and the Browns won, and that's awesome, and I was excited for it. But right now, for me, it is still baseball season.
You can write to us on X, our handle, The Fan Rochester. I'm at Gene Battaglia. He's at Womp Thump. Don't ask me why. I don't want to go down that path. I know the reason why. But Frank writing to me personally, maybe you guys can explain how the DC Nats, and what he did here, Tim, he didn't spell it like Nationals, N-A-T-S. He spelled it like the bug.
Got it.
Yeah. The DC Nats are made up primarily of this year's Red Wings team that finished like 30 games under 500, could wipe out the Mets. How could that Nunez dude, who hit 200 with one home run, could hit a homer? What the hell? Yeah, baseball, Frank, is the quote Susan Waldman. I guess it's embarrassing. Chris writing in. We kind of jump around here between baseball and the Oklahoma State story. I'm in Oklahoma. Oklahoma State is without question the lesser Oklahoma school, but I am genuinely surprised Gundy was fired. I thought he'd retire from there. Let me draw an analogy for everybody. Ready? Instead of, where's Oklahoma State? Stillwater?
It is.
Okay, let's pick a different city.
Norman?
Rochester.
Oh, heard of it.
And instead of football, let's take a different business. Radio.
Oh, I know where we're going here.
Yeah, like... this past weekend, like, hey, don't talk about this, Gene. Why? Why not? I live in this town. What happened with Weiss? What happened? Yeah, they fired him.
Yes, they did.
They fired him. They couldn't figure out an exit plan, and he said, so, like, we can talk about that. They won't talk about that. I'll talk about that. What are they going to do? Ooh, come after me. Yeah, like, woo. Yeah. Mike Gundy, Brother Weiss, very, two brothers there. We'll have Survive in Advance coming up. All right. I can't lie. There's really no suspense this week.
Yeah, this one's a no-brainer.
We'll go through the exercise, but the point of this story is, though, don't get too cute. Did you see the Lions-Browns spread?
I did. I'm surprised by it.
Yeah, like one thing Cleveland could do, they can muck up a game, and maybe they're just figuring this is the the square public, Lions, wow, look at that offense. They're back. They're physical. They're favored by 8.5 over the Browns, which that would fit our criteria for survive and advance. You don't want a divisional opponent. You don't want to pick the team on the road. Detroit would look like a good play.
There's a better one out there.
Tim, we talk Bills football. We can't pretend it's not happening. And to my research, this is the biggest spread that the Bills have been favored in Buffalo Bills history.
Easy to believe.
Yes, since there was a game also at 16.5. 1990, Bills and Colts. It was 1991. Bills won that game, and they ended up covering. 42-6 was the final of that game. So in recent modern era, can we just say the McDermott era? This is the biggest favorite Buffalo has laid, 16.5. But the Bills once won as a 17.5 point dog, Tim?
That was the Vikings, I believe.
Yeah, but what the lesson from that was, there was a huge unknown. Nobody knew what Josh Allen was.
Right. Everybody knew what Nathan Peterman was, though. The glory days.
Well, I think we all know what Spencer Rattler is. If they put in Shock,
you can't do it against the Bills.
No, you can't do that. We got Matt Perino coming up. We will have time for your calls. It is the Sports Bar in Long today with Tim Schneider. My name is Gene Battaglia here on The Fan.
Sports Update.
One more day of rest for Bills players as practice resumes tomorrow. Bills and Saints. Buffalo a heavy favorite in this game. Dan Orlovsky today on One Bills Live on Saints quarterback Spencer Rattler.
There's not a throw that he does not think he's capable of making. You'd say he's as talented throwing the football as anybody. So he's very aggressive with the football. I don't want to say like a recklessness, but if he feels like he can fit a ball into a window, if you give him a one-on-one situation to the perimeter, he's going to take it.
We'll talk some Bills football coming up next. Our friend Matt Perino, the Syracuse Post-Standard and the Shout podcast, to join us. College football surprise firing today. Mike Gundy out at Oklahoma State. Gundy had been there 21 years. Sabres are home tonight. Preseason game against Columbus. The Yankees hosting the White Sox. The Mets are at Wrigley. Gene Battaglin, the sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan, Rochester.
Neat or on the rocks? It's the Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia on the Sports Leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950 The Fan, Rochester.
Always love catching up with our friend Matt Perino, Syracuse Post-Standard, the Shout podcast. And Matt, it seems like a while ago when I saw the Buffalo Bills on the field on Thursday night. Now that we've had a few days to kind of digest that, I mean, how do you view that matchup? Is it just, hey, it's a divisional game, and these games quite often are going to be closer than we believe? Or would you say also that maybe, hey, there are some issues here on the Bills' defense in terms of getting off the field, and that was, kind of a problem? Matt, how are you today? Try this again. Did we lose?
I'm
Matt?
good, man. How are you?
There we go. I don't know if you heard all that, Matt. How are
I
you?
did. I did hear all
good.
that. I'm great. And so there are a couple things here. I think first and foremost, you got to always use the context of the matchup and maybe downplay the opponent a little bit. Like, I know that they were struggling coming in. They didn't look good, especially in week one against the Colts, but nobody's looked good against the Colts, really. And I think what happened last week was you had a team that was playing for their season. I mean, what is it, one team in the Super Bowl era that's come back, or since 2000 or whatever the stat is, that's made the playoffs after going 0-3. And to Mike McDaniel's credit, that Miami Dolphins team played like their season was on the line. And I think what you take out of that game from a Bills perspective is they still were able to do, for the most part, anything that they wanted offensively. And, we're probably talking about a different with a different tone had that turnover or the sack not happen on the third down in the red zone and they go on to score there, and maybe it's not even as close of a game. That's very much uncharacteristic of what this Bills offense has been. I think they're scoring on 65% of their drives. Are there some defensive issues? Of course. But I think you also have to use the context that no Ed Oliver, no Matt Milano. I think maybe in that matchup, you would have liked to have seen a healthy Maxwell Hairston and what that could potentially look like against an offense with that kind of speed. And so I think as we sit here going into week 4, based on the results of the first couple of weeks of the season, I think you have to be really happy with where the Bills are at. They won their tough game, and now they have a stretch here where it's plausible to say that the Bills are going to be undefeated when Kansas City comes in here in week 9.
Yeah, one thing that I think is interesting, and let's just stick with the positives, and that would be the Bills' offense, Matt. And the expectation is that they're going to score on every drive here practically, but it's the way that they're doing it, the way that Josh Allen has kind of evolved, and the way the games are being called here. Matt, I'm not upset at all that they're not taking deep shots downfield. Like your thoughts on, like, I noticed how, like, you also asked Brady about this week, that hey, as long as they're getting the job done, doesn't really matter if you're taking deep shots downfield, correct?
Yeah, and I kind of wanted to get his perspective on this because at times it's felt like, and it hasn't been a lot of the time, but like if you take all 3 games, there's been 2 back-to-back series with either 3-and-outs or a 3-and-out and then a 6-and-out, like it was last week against Miami. The Jets one you have to kind of take out of the mix because Mitch Trubisky was in there. But when the offense gets bogged down, I think the outside perception from the fan base or portion of the fan base is, okay, Maybe it's because it's an inability to push the ball down the field or at least threaten down the field. And I think what Joe painted there when I asked him about this is, listen, if teams are going to play too high and they're going to take away the deep stuff or try to take away the deep stuff and we can operate much cleaner in that short area, Josh Allen has evolved to this elite level of quarterback play where he is going to find the weakness in a defense. He's going to attack that weakness, and he's going to take what you give him all the way down the field. And here's the only way that works: if you don't turn the ball over. And I mean, we're literally watching the historic run of an offense that is taking care of the football at an unbelievable amount. And really, from a complimentary football perspective, I know that there's question marks about this defense, and those will have to be answered over the course of the season as guys get back. But to go 25 straight games without losing the turnover battle, I think highlights the ability on both sides of the ball to play this specific style of football, which I think is the one, if you would have foretold this 5-6 years ago at the beginning of Josh Allen's career, I think a lot of analysts would have poo-pooed the idea that this was even possible, and now they're living in this. And I also think, like, you do a lot of this stuff early in the season to kind of open things up with how teams are going to play you, how they're going to try to maybe get an extra guy in the box, and you're also going through a little bit of an identity change. Like this 13 personnel package that now the Bills are running at the 6th highest clip in the NFL with Jackson Hawes on the field, it's a lot different than the jumbo package that they ran last year with Alec Anderson because of the passing game options out of it. And so I think as you're retooling who you are to a degree and what you do really well, I think that there might be some drives where you struggle. And I went back and looked at all of these three and outs over the last couple of the punt drives, and a lot of times the Bills have been playing quite a bit of 11 in those 11 personnel on those drives. So I think it comes down to how do you get your best grouping on the field to really start the drive in a way that you feel comfortable with. And the Bills, for the most part, at a pretty high clip, have done that.
Matt Perino, Shout Podcast with Ryan Talbot, Syracuse Post-Standard, our Tuesday segment here with Matt. Can we dive a little bit deeper into Hawes? Because, okay, it's a position, Matt, the tight end, where you normally aren't making an impact. Maybe part of it is like, hey, you're the number 3 tight end. We're going to give you a specific role. But like you were mentioning there, how he's kind of taking this Alec Anderson role, but it's completely different new wrinkle. Matt, part one, how did this kid kind of fall in the draft if he's got this blocking skill there? And part two, I feel like maybe this is like a fan of me coming out or something, but I feel like we're only kind of scratching the surface when it comes to this kid and how he might be used in this offense.
Yeah, and I think that for a while now, with these two tight ends, Kincaid and Knox, we've been spending years talking about the potential of 22 and 12 personnel and getting them on the field together. And honestly, for the most part, it hasn't really worked. And I think that they've been spinning their wheels a little bit, trying to figure out, okay, we want Knox to be a big part of this offense, but we don't want to have to take Kincaid off the field as much as we do. What is the natural progression since this 12 hasn't worked? Well, let's maybe fully invest into 13. And Jackson Hawes, you could feel the way they talked about him when they drafted him, that there was a role in mind for what he was going to be. And I think, Joe Brady couldn't really hide his offseason excitement about this. And Quentin Morris was a good player for them last year, but I don't think he created the same kind of mismatch from a blocking perspective as Hawes has been able to do. And I think, as this thing goes along over the course of the season, I mean, you pull up Pro Football Focus and you bring up all the tight ends in the league, and amongst tight ends with over 100 snaps this season or over 75 snaps this season, Jackson Hawes ranks number 4 in the entire NFL according to PFF's blocking grade. And that's unbelievable return on a rookie 5th-round draft pick. And, this is also to a lesser degree a side conversation that I think sometimes I want to have with fans when they voice their frustration with Brandon Beane's lack of hits in the early rounds the last couple of years, is the unbelievable amount of hits that he's had on day 2 and day 3. I mean, Hawes is the latest example, but you think about a Pro Bowl level cornerback in Christian Benford in the 6th, a borderline all-pro level right tackle in the 3rd that nobody was talking about during that draft class. I mean, Terrell Bernard is another example. Taron Johnson, if you want to go back all the way to 2018, Khalil Shakir. The list goes on with the kind of capital that's been spent later in the draft that's equated to starters, but not only starters, like difference-making pieces on, both sides of the ball. I'd say more so on the offensive side of the ball. I mean, Osiris Torrance is a guy that, through 3 weeks, if you're talking about the buzz around the league when it comes to interior players, I definitely think Torrance's name is starting to get bantied about a little bit more. So I really like the pivot to Hawes. I think it gives them a whole nother dimension to their offense. And the kid is electric in the way that none of this is too big for him. He's ready for any kind of opportunity. I mean, this is coming from a kid that's coming out of Georgia Tech that was basically a cast-off as a receiving tight end. I mean, if you go through all the scouting reports, because I did it back during the draft process, everybody was downplaying his ability to find a role because there were so many questions about his ability to catch. And I think you come out in week 1, got to have it play down the seam, 29-yarder to Jackson Hawes. That is a big-time moment where your quarterback's got to trust you, and they seem to trust him.
Matt Perino, Shout Podcast, Syracuse Post-Standard, our guest. There's another guy, too. Imagine you're a time traveler, right? And, yes, I'm bringing back some clips from the future here. And, let's say, this pick here, he went in the 4th round. I'm looking at Deion Walker. If we could redo it all over again, Matt, he's going top 10. Like he deserves the credit for that interception, certainly, that Terrell Bernard made to kind of save that game against Miami.
He's maybe the best recent example of the point I was just making. So thank you for bringing that up, because Bean, he pounded the table after the draft. Listen, we obviously addressed defensive line in round 2 and 3. We're coming back, and we probably could have gone a different direction, but they had such a high grade on him based on that one season of production. It was all about the health check, and to the whole organization's credit, they did the work. They got him ready to play, and he's played a really important role for them early. And I think these reps for him are so critical. They're going to be able to do so many different things with him when Oliver gets back and is healthy, and then you throw Larry Ogunjobi into the mix. And then I think that also deflates some of the expectation on, say, a TJ Sanders, and you could kind of pick and choose your spots with him on some of the more splashier downs, 3rd and 8 against the Chiefs, 3rd and 12 against the Chiefs. All right, now you bring a fresh TJ Sanders onto the field to let him rush with Ed Oliver, and maybe you bring in Deion Walker and you let Ed go to the edge. There's so many different creative options, and honestly, if I'm looking at this Bills defensive front now with Ryan Nielsen entrenched, first of all, they gotta bring Joey Bosa's snap count down quite a bit over the next couple of weeks. I think that's number one. But the other piece of it too is how creative can you be with how you line these guys up? I don't think you want to major Ed Oliver out on the edge, but on 3rd and long, to be able to get all of your pass rushers and figure out ways to stunt a couple of these guys into preferable matchups and stuff that you've never done before, I'm really going to be looking at that as we get into the December and January games, because I think that's the area where, sure, the Bills brought in a whole bunch of new players and on the defensive line. We'll see how one for one all of them end up performing. But I also think from a schematic standpoint, you can get more creative with things that you haven't done before and figure out ways to unlock guys in big-time matchups when you're getting away from things that maybe you've done in the past and think about it a little bit differently, because that to me is what I feel like Ryan Nielsen's arrival should really be about.
Matt Perino, Shout Podcast, Syracuse Post-Standard. Just a few more minutes here, Matt. And look, it's the NFL. Any team could beat any team, blah, 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 blah. I don't know about you. I have had, let's just say, more than one request. Hey, you got any tickets for Sunday? No, I don't. I get the sense this is a very, very hot ticket right now, with it being the 1 o'clock kickoff. If the they won't ever come out and say this. And when you and the rest of the reporters, when we with Sean McDermott, he'll say who was practicing. Maybe he won't. We'll get the update here. But knowing that this is an opponent the Bills should beat, are you kind of load managing here things just a little bit this week? Meaning, hey, Ed Oliver, take another week. Matt Milano, okay, we can do this without you. Like, we're not expecting guys to come back here, no?
I mean, we'll see. I thought it was encouraging that Ed Oliver was out of the boot on game day Thursday, which I think if he now has almost a week, 6 days before the Bills practice on Wednesday, tomorrow, now you're thinking about, okay, let's get him at least back on the practice field and see what it looks like. That'll be a big indicator. If he's not practicing tomorrow and maybe doing stuff off to the side, then yeah, I would say it's not worth rushing it. It all depends on how he's feeling and the progress. Milano, I wouldn't play him again until maybe right before the Chiefs game. And I know that they're not putting him on IR, but even if they do bring him back, I would bring him back in some type of split role. You have Shaq Thompson, who I thought at times in that game on Thursday looked great. And I did not expect him to be able to make, that obviously the tackle for a loss is one that really flashes, but he had a nice play near the goal line as well on a tackle. He's firing off the ball better than I thought he would be coming off of that ACL. So he's in a good spot. That dude has played so much football. Obviously the physical traits aren't necessarily there anymore, but I think you want to try to keep Matt Milano, even when he gets back, if this thing isn't as serious as feared at the beginning. Obviously, whenever there's a pec injury, and you've seen it around the league, some guys miss upwards of 2-3 months from those injuries. That's the thing that you fear. But now that it seems like we're trending on a more shorter timetable, you don't have to rush him back, because I think you have guys there on the outside that can play, and none more so than Dorian Williams, who, if not for Matt Milano's strong summer, I thought, and he was dealing with his own set of little injuries, nagging injuries, I thought he could push for some playing time maybe to start the season. And I wonder if they maybe shouldn't have considered that earlier anyway to lessen the load on Milano. He might just be at the stage of his career where he has to be load managed anyway until you get to the playoffs.
Matt, last one, and I don't know to what degree the storyline will be revisited this week, but Joe Brady's name might come up. He was up for that Saints job. Now, I don't know if he pulled his name out because he knew he wasn't getting it, or because he knew there would be better opportunities. But your thought on like Brady here, like what he's done and like where his future may be, and certainly from looking at the Saints roster, if indeed he pulled his name out, can't blame him for making that decision.
Not at all. And I think Brady's in that collection of names. I think of the most recent example being Ben Johnson, who was a hot candidate for several cycles that decided to, play it cool and wait for the opportunity that made the most sense for him. And I think the amount of talent in that offensive room in Chicago probably enticed him, and it looked pretty good in week 3. We'll see how that storyline continues. But you look around the league at some of these young coaches that decide to take jobs, and it just looks like an absolute nightmare. And especially down in New Orleans right now, it feels like they're playing for the number 1 overall pick, even though they drafted Shug and they're playing Rattler. I think, just the way that they've gone about this whole operation, this is probably the last year of Kamara, even though, funny enough, I'm watching a little bit of the Saints game today to get ready for the game, and I think Kamara is going to be on the block. I think Chris Olave could be on the block. That is actually one name, if he can stay healthy, that I think the Bills should really consider if the cost wasn't insane. Like, a third and a third and Curtis Samuel just to get that money off the books or something like that, or even a third and, I don't know.
How we got to be careful here. Let me make this clear, dear aggregator. We are only speculating here.
Yes. Yeah, I'm not putting this on Twitter. Did you notice that? Or in a mailbag. I don't want.
According to Matt Perino. Matt, we got to let you go. Matt, I appreciate the time. Let's do this again next Tuesday.
Sounds good, buddy. Take care.
Thanks, man. We were up against the clock, but
that is a nice name.
That actually happened last year. And
I remember.
Matt forgot that. where he just in a mailbag segment, somebody asked him, hey, what could the Bills go after? And it's just, I think it's pretty clear, like he's speculating.
Yeah, it's a guy answering a question, not
then
reporting.
All of a sudden, like it gets picked up in this game of telephone, and all of a sudden, like Matt Perino's reporting. He's not reporting this. Scream from a mountaintop.
Right. Yeah, that would be a nice name to bring in. The Saints, their roster is really, really, really weak. And, I mean, the spread is what it is for a reason. So,
yeah. Boy, Olave. I just want to see his contract because what would this take? What would we do without Spot Track? Anyway, I just
guess.
Yeah. Okay, so they got to pick up the option, which
seems like a no-brainer.
Yeah.
If the Bills were to do it, of course.
Yeah. Okay, so the club did pick up the option. Oh my gosh, this is affordable, Tim. Affordable. So for the Saints, you would have to prorate this a $21 million get. That ultimately may hold this up. That for the Saints to trade it away, it would be a dead cap figure somewhere in the ballpark between 15 and 20 million. The Saints
for a team like the Saints, they can kind of afford that.
No, they can't. I mean, it's like they're up against the cap. So how do you fit that in? That's the thing that I think will prevent him getting traded. But for let's say for the Buffalo Bills or any team that wants to trade for Chris Olave, 6.1 this year remaining. Oh yeah, the Bills could figure that out. Next year, 15.4.
Still manageable.
Very manageable. It's only 3 games in, but could the Bills do better at that position? Like we had the week 1 game from Keon Coleman. We're all like, that's it. And then since that point, it's been drop here, drop there, good play here. Palmer has been kind of spot. In other words, this looks like the Bills' receiving core from last year, pretty much for the most part. Khalil Shakir, very dependable. Get him the ball, and he'll scoot ahead for additional yardage. Olave is better than anybody on the Bills right now, other than Khalil Shakir. I'll have a debate on that. I'm going to die on a hill saying Shakir is the guy for the Buffalo Bills.
Olave makes this team better off the jump, so automatically it's a conversation worth having. He would probably take Samuel or Palmer or both off the field. One might even be included in a return for him, hypothetically. Yeah, if he is available, and you'll get to see him up close and personal in 5 days,
Mm-hmm.
if he performs well against the Bills' defense and he becomes available by the deadline, that's certainly a name that you consider, depending, obviously, on what it costs to get him.
Appreciate the time for Matt Perino, as always. Great dude. Check out the Shout podcast. And that's also one of those like post game that you can kind of check out. There's a few, and that should be at the top of your list. We'll take a break. We have our Survive in Advance coming up. And the thing I like about this, Tim, this segment is I just kind of, what is this, a danger saying? No one cares when you're right. We're right. Doesn't matter. It's a win. We took the Buccaneers, and we
never a doubt.
Yeah, I love everybody who then starts texting me as if I don't know what's happening, or like I could fix it somehow. Like, wait a second, you were up 26-6 in the 4th, and now you're losing? We still got it. It's okay. We don't look in the past. We only look forward, Tim. We're forward thinkers. Time for your calls, too, on the other side of that. Michael F. Florio also coming up next hour. My name is Dean Battaglia with Tim Schneider, and this is the sports leader, the Fan Rochester.
W239BF Rochester, the sports leader. 95.7 FM and AM 950. The Fan, Rochester. An Odyssey sports station. The Fan, Rochester. Sports update.
Everybody getting back into town for the Buffalo Bills. Practice resuming tomorrow. It's the Bills and Saints. Dan Orlovsky of ESPN today on One Bills Live talking about that Saints offensive line.
You know, their offensive line is struggling pass protection. You can get home after Rattler. They have not been an explosive offense. And I just think defensively, they realize they're going to have to force some takeaways to try to give them some opportunities. The Bills should absolutely take advantage of that.
Michael F. Florio from the NFL Network will be joining us later this hour, talk a little fantasy. Bishop Kearney grad Thomas Bryant's got a new home, leaves the Pacers. Bryant today signing with the Cleveland Cavaliers. College football, Mike Gundy fired as the head coach at Oklahoma State. Sabres home in the preseason tonight. They take on Columbus. Yankees taking on the White Sox. The Mets are at Wrigley. Gene Battaglin, the sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan, Rochester.
It's time to start the show and talk about the sports we saw. Inside jokes and takes from Danger and Battaglia. Bills and the Sabres and the Amherst. Who gave a microphone to these jerks? Welcome to the sports bar, that's where you are. Welcome to the sports bar, that's where you are. Welcome to the sports bar, that's where you are. With Danger and Battaglia.
So one NFL coach had one card left to play, I think, and he had to play it today. No doubt about it. Welcome back to the Sports Bar. Gene Battaglia with you. Terrible take, Tim Schneider. Our number, 866-4FAN, 866-4326. You can hit us up on X, The Fan Rochester. Special hello to everybody watching on YouTube and Twitch. You can also leave us a comment there. Brian Daboll today naming Jackson Dart as his starting quarterback. It's not an easy assignment, mind you. The Chargers, the opponent. But I would just ask the obvious question. Every Giant fan has to be saying, what the hell? Was it because Russell Wilson threw for 400 yards against the Cowboys, but then turned the ball over recklessly at the end of that game? We should point out that you gave him like the benefit of the doubt and you played him in that second half. He was terrible against the Chiefs. And not that Jackson Dart, Tim, would have been any better. In fact, I predict, you might have saw the similar result. But you know what? Get him in there. The fan base would have improved. It's a tough journey when you start a new quarterback. Did we not forget? Like for Josh Allen, yes, we remember the Viking game. And it's come up a few times this week because the Bills are 17.5-point underdogs. They won that game outright. Allen was doing some amazing things. The Vikings didn't take it seriously. Allen's first game against the Chargers, not good. How about Allen third game against the Packers? Shut out. No points at Lambeau. It was getting injured in Houston in October. It was a rocky start for Josh Allen. I'm not comparing Jackson Dart to Josh Allen. Just what I know off the top of my head in terms of a rookie quarterback. This should have happened on Sunday night. So Brian Daboll, a little late to the party, in my opinion.
Yeah, you have to do, especially in Daboll's spot. He was on the hot seat a little bit last year. He brought in Russell Wilson. He brought in Jameis Winston. They drafted Jackson Dart. You have weapons in that room that could be used, but you have to choose correctly. If you're 0-3 already, you're probably not in the mix for the playoffs. If Dart comes out and starts hot, that sets you up for long-term success. Like this season isn't necessarily a throwaway, but there's not a whole lot to build on already in week 3. So you start him, get him the reps, and give him an opportunity similar that what the Falcons did with Penix, even though that's a different situation now. He was benched over the weekend.
Yeah.
But you got to get these guys reps. Give them a chance to prove themselves.
Atlanta's a weird team. I don't know what to make of them. I was a little surprised to hear that story. And again, Carolina, not great, certainly. We'll talk some fantasy football and a little Bills, too, because he's a member of the Bills Mafia. Michael F. Florio from the NFL Network. He'll be joining us at the bottom of this hour. Again, our phone number, 866-4326, 866-4FAN. Tim, it is my favorite time of the week. Can we have some music to set the tone? Yes.
Let's go.
Bring back the NFL 70s music. Yeah! We're on week 4, baby. It's time for Survive and Advance here in the Sports Bar, where we pick this week's coming winner. And let me tell you, we have this locked and loaded. And just my advice, kids, as we soak in this music, don't get cute. Do not get cute. You got cute last week. Okay, we were debating last week. Did we take Tampa? Do we take Seattle? There were certain games we ruled out because it violated a rule. Rule number 1. What is rule number 1? Don't take a road team. Hey, Chiefs, you took them last week? Great. I know a lot of people who took the Chiefs. How do you feel if you took the Packers last week? Tim, how should they feel? Out. That's it. Don't take a road team.
I took the Packers last week.
You were hedging. The hedgers are losers, Tim. That was an emotional hedge. That's rule number 5. Hedgers are losers. One pool, one pick. Don't hedge, but don't hedge yourself emotionally. You weren't thinking clearly. But the one I want to point out, rule number 4, don't save. Savers are losers. You're taught from a very young age to be responsible growing up. Make sure you save. And if you're a young parent, save for your children's education and save for your retirement. Well, guess what? We're not saving for your kids 529. We're not saving for your retirement. You are a loser if you save and survive in advance. There is no saving in this game. And this is the prime suspect right here, Tim. Saving. Okay, well, I'm going to save the Bills because I really think that other people will take the Bills this week and I can save them for later. I can save them against Carolina. I could save it. No, absolutely not. You don't do that. We are not looking ahead to week 5. We are only Hey, this is the way I do it. I have won my pool before. You can take my advice or leave my advice. But, Tim, this is normally why I go through all the exercise here. This is where I would go through the exercise and crossing out teams and saying, yeah, we really don't like the Bears and Raiders because that's a pick 'em. The Packers favored by 7 in Dallas. No, that's a road team. We would cross that off. Now, let's just cut to the chase. As the saxophone is playing and the music is playing, ladies and gentlemen, your Buffalo Bills are your survivor pick this week. Buffalo, the week 4 winner against New Orleans. Book it now. Thank me on Monday.
Never a doubt. This is some great music, actually.
This is the NFL on NBC.
Might listen to it for the next 2.5 hours.
It is. Like, you could say, like, why hasn't NBC brought this back? Don't you hear this right now? O.J. Simpson. Actually, I'm doing Howard Cosell, but I'm Brian Gumbel. O.J. Simpson today in the Bills' win over the Jets. Actually, that sounded more like Kermit the Frog.
Patrick Mahomes.
Just keep playing it, then.
Fine. Say no more.
Say no more. Teams we couldn't pick, by the way, in case you're curious. We went with Denver week 1. Okay, that was an easy win over Tennessee.
Probably an easy win this week, too, but you can't not pick the Bills.
No, we know. Like, once you take a team, that's it. We can't take Baltimore. We took them week 2 against, sorry, Tim, your Browns.
Well-deserved.
Yeah, well-deserved.
I mean, I took the Packers and,
yeah,
wrong, but
yeah,
it makes sense to pick against the Browns. It's fair.
Oh, this just makes me feel good inside. Yeah.
Do you think there's people thinking the Chargers because of the Jackson Dart pick? Because that would actually scare me away, similar to the Josh Allen thing. You don't know what you're going to get out of Dart.
Absolutely, 100%. You're not taking a road team, Tim.
Well, there's also that, but not everybody adheres to all of your rules.
Correct. So the Dart unknown, I like known quantities. Look, if I'm going to use the financial advisor analogy here, all we're doing is minimizing risk. Okay. What is the risk picking against the Saints with Buffalo at home this week? And there is a rule, Tim, here in Survive in Advance. And you could say, well, Gene, you're violating. Actually, I'm not. Rule 7 is avoid taking the team that is playing at home for the second consecutive week, which that would be Buffalo. But let me explain why that's not even relevant. Well, one, it's the Saints, and two, this is going to be a party. I mentioned this to Matt Perino. Please, I don't have tickets for this game. If I did, I would have already called you.
I just wanted to hear it again.
You're on that side of the board here, bud. This game this week is going to have a party-like atmosphere. I anticipate those lots filling up early. If you're going from Rochester this Sunday, my advice, go earlier. Get into your routine earlier because that's what everybody is doing this. You realize there's only 2 of these left?
1 o'clock games at Highmark?
1 o'clock Sunday games at Highmark. That's it. That's crazy. And the next one, November 15th. Tim, tell me, what's the weather going to be like November 15th against the Buccaneers?
Likely cold.
Yeah, I have no idea.
There's also that. I have no idea. Likely cold.
Likely cold. But I'm going to guess that it's not going to be as nice as what we'll have coming up on Sunday. So this feels like the goodbye, right? This feels like, okay, the last of the nice 1 o'clock Sunday games. How could the Bills fail in this situation?
I cannot come up with a single situation in which the Bills lose. They might not cover the spread. It might be a 1-score game. But to be on the losing side of this game, there is no possibility outside of an early Josh Allen injury, heaven forbid. That's it. Like something catastrophic early in the game. That's the only shot.
Stop. Shush your mouth.
Oh, is it the speaking into existence thing?
Yes, shush your mouth. Okay, zip it. I'm kidding, but the analytics on this at ESPN say that the Saints have a 4.6% chance of winning. I don't think I've ever seen anything like that.
Not in the NFL.
4%? I guess they have to say 4% because they can't say 0.0.
There are college games where the spread is like 28 with more than a 4% chance to win. So
yeah, I guess there are college games also, Tim. Like it was it Grambling, Ohio State? Like whoever, like okay, they won't take. You won't see a betting line on this because for Vegas, how do they put one? Do we put it at 58? Do we put it at 60? There's no baseline. Who knows?
It starts somewhere in the 5s and it goes up and up and up. I think the one you're referencing is North Carolina Richmond. That one was just off entirely.
Yeah,
Ohio State had one, but it was 50 something. I don't remember the number, but it was more than 7 touchdowns.
Yeah, 16.5. It was at 15.5, and some money's gone on Buffalo, which has climbed up to 70. I asked Danger this question. See if you remember this. Anybody that wants to participate, you don't get a prize for this, by the way.
That's fine.
The biggest spread in the last 20 years. Since we really started keeping track of this more closely.
Jacksonville was involved. I think it was against Seattle maybe 12 years ago.
Okay. You got half of that right. 2013, October 13, 2013, Denver was at home with Peyton Manning. And this was Peyton Manning like, oh, my gosh, he's angry. He's looking like old Peyton Manning. And it was Jacksonville, who was just hot garbage at that point. The Broncos were favored by 26.5 points.
I don't think they covered.
They did not. 35-19 ended up being the final. So you still win by 16 points, but you don't cover. Could I see something like that? Like the backdoor cover from the Saints? At 16.5, that's a 3. What Vegas is telling you, Buffalo will win by 3 scores. That's crazy, Tim. Like the idea like, okay, we're going to put Trubisky in and, hey, here's Tyler Shuck. Oh, yay, he had a touchdown drive. And, that cuts the game to, 38 to 27. Oh, my gosh.
Right,
like
and
the
there
Bills,
it is.
Yeah, like, and there it is.
You can be up. The Bills realistically could be up, I don't know, let's say 35-14 with 5 minutes to go. They've got everybody pulled, and Shuck comes in and gets some garbage time touchdown to Juwan Johnson against the Bills walk-ons, and it's a 14-point victory instead of a 21-point victory, and that means Vegas is victorious.
Yeah.
So it's possible.
It's possible.
But it's not possible for the Bills to pick up an L. They might pick a Vegas L. They are not picking up a standings L.
So the Giants benching Wilson. Mike Evans is going to be out 3 to 4 weeks. So we'll talk to our guy because that Buccaneer team has been a good source of fantasy points. Michael F. Florio will be joining us at the bottom of this hour. Another fantasy thing we got to keep in mind here: Washington, Terry McLaurin is seeking more opinions on an injured quad. Well, that's not good. So, look, that's really kind of the. It's not a secret, but like ultimately, is your fantasy team good or not? All right, how healthy are they? Well, this is why the end of every fantasy draft is actually important. And also, if you don't have options, then what might be available on the waiver wire tonight? We'll talk to Michael F. Florio coming up. I haven't come to the conclusion whether tonight I watch or not, Tim. If you want to call me a bad fan, you can do so. With these weeks when danger isn't it, and I don't tell people it's double the work, it's triple the work. We have other jobs, right? So I'm like, okay, do I want to get ahead on work tonight? If I really want to focus, I'm not putting the Mets on. It's a TBS game tonight, by the way, too. And maybe that's part of it too. Like, oh yeah, I'm not getting my team here. I'm getting like the national call.
Yeah, national broadcast, and it sounds like, and I'm surprised by it, you've got Mets fatigue because they're disappointing you in the worst possible time. You're just over it. One, because the Bills are doing excellent.
Yep.
Two, the Mets should have clinched a playoff spot 2 weeks ago in theory, and they are on the outside looking in, so you're over it.
There's so much weirdness here, Tim, when it comes to the standings right now in baseball. And like I'm just focusing on the Mets. I mean, what if the Cardinals snuck it? They're 3 games below 500. They're 3.5 back. If the Mets lose out and Arizona loses out, I mean, that's the wacky stuff. But let me just tell you about a team from Cleveland. What happened? That was almost shocking. I'm not paying any attention over, okay, yeah, Detroit, they've got the good pitching. And what has happened to the Tigers to the point, Tim, where not only would Cleveland actually be the third wild card, there's a legit chance they could jump up and actually be the 3 seed and perhaps host said Detroit Tigers.
It's within reason that the Guardians can climb to the 2 seed and get a bye. But in terms of the Tigers, a week ago when we did this show, the Tigers had a 99.2% chance to make the playoffs, and Cleveland had a 2.4% chance to make the playoffs. And now Cleveland is over 50%. And a math flaw here, there are 7 teams over 50%. So one team that probably, based on math, will make the playoffs. One will be left out. Just
okay. So
out of force.
So like I'm saying, the Yankees are in. Their magic number is what? 2? Somebody would know.
1.
One.
They're in today.
Okay, they're in today. So Yankees are in. Just of these teams here, Boston, Cleveland, Houston, Detroit. One team has to go. From your viewing pleasure, which team would you say you're out?
Viewing purposes, Houston.
I agree. Like the Astros, although I want to see like Framber Valdez melt down on the mound again like he did against his catcher, but I digress.
That was bad.
That was really bad. That was I've never seen anything like it bad. Houston just kind of over the star power. I want to see Detroit's pitching for your sake. I couldn't say Cleveland. Who would want to see Yankees Red Sox? Yankees Red Sox at Yankee Stadium, wild card round.
Hard to argue.
Yeah.
I mean, the biggest rivalry in the sport, and not the biggest stage, but as big as it can possibly get. There's one of these teams is going to be severely disappointed, and it's probably going to start tonight or tomorrow. Like Detroit and Cleveland play one another. Cleveland is a game back. If they win, they are tied, and they have the tiebreaker. So there's a lot to be said in these next 6 days.
Yeah, I mean, even the race for the 1 seed, you think that's not a big deal. Well, if you're Toronto and you get the number 1 overall seed, I don't think you want to be facing winner of Yankees Red Sox. Divisional matchup, and yes, that would be in Toronto. Now I say that, and I'm like getting confused on the brackets here.
Right. Well, there's so many moving parts in that.
Yeah,
like
exactly,
Toronto plays Boston these next 3 days. They can very well put Boston out of the playoffs themselves. This could be a tune-up playoff series for them, or they can rest their bodies, let Boston get in, and just go with whoever you're put up against.
See, we're going to get to a point, Tim, where this will expand to 8 teams, and I'm not going to be in favor of that.
It's coming.
It's coming. It's coming, no doubt. Let's talk to Michael F. Florio from the NFL Network. Let's talk a little fantasy. You're always welcome to join us. Our phone number, 866-4FAN, 866-4326. Our handle, The Fan Rochester. You can write to us in the comment section on YouTube as well. With Tim Schneider, my name is G. Battaglia here on The Fan.
Fan Rochester Sports Update.
One more day of the long weekend for Bills players. Practice resuming tomorrow, getting ready for the Saints, where the Bills 16.5-point favorites. Dan Orlovsky today on One Bills Live talking about Spencer Rattler.
There's not a throw that he does not think he's capable of making. You'd say he's as talented throwing the football as anybody. So he's very aggressive with the football. I don't want to say like a recklessness, but if he feels like he can fit a ball into a window, if you give him a one-on-one situation to the perimeter, he's going to take it.
Michael F. Florio from the NFL Network will join us next. We'll talk a little fantasy football. Bishop Kearney grad Thomas Bryant leaving the Pacers. He signs today with the Cleveland Cavaliers. College football, Mike Gundy fired as the head coach at Oklahoma State. Sabres preseason game tonight against Columbus. The Yankees host the White Sox. The Mets are at Wrigley. Gene Battaglia, the sports leader, the Fan Rochester.
Pull up a stool and join us. 585-866-4FAN. 866-4326. The Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia on the Sports Leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan, Rochester.
I love when I see my guy Michael F. Florio on the NFL Network. We have this relationship, but he's got the Bills helmet in the background just to kind of signify you're allowed to do that sort of stuff, right, Michael? We're just talking fantasy. It's not showing any favoritism. How are you today, Michael?
I'm doing well. Sometimes people get upset if I talk Bills, but look, this week I'm saying to sit a couple of Bills, I'm saying to start a couple of Bills. You know, I root for them, but I don't let it impact my fantasy.
It's one of those interesting weeks, Michael, where the Bills are favored so heavily. Do we worry that guys, all right, once the job is done, that's it, everybody kind of go home? Because sometimes the ideal fantasy matchup is, all right, we need to go back and forth, and I'm just not sure the Saints offense for as you know, I don't want to say flawed, but there are issues with the Bills defense. We could see that, but I don't know if any of those issues are going to show up against New Orleans coming up on Sunday.
No, I don't anticipate that. It's something I said last week on this show. I think the Bills' defense, say what you will against them, against other top quarterbacks and top offenses, but when they play lesser quarterbacks and lesser offenses, they tend to beat up on them. And so I think the Bills' defense is a must-start this week. They could have a really big game. James Cook is a must-start this week. Obviously, you're playing Josh Allen, but I do have some concerns over if this could be like week 2 was, where it is such a beatdown that Josh Allen just simply doesn't have to do much. Now, I will say, if Josh wants to set the record this weekend, 8 passing touchdowns, I think he could. The Saints generate no pressure, and the Bills have allowed pressure at the lowest rate. So Josh could probably read a book behind this line and stuff this week and do whatever he wants. It's just like last week, 1 pass of over 10 air yards. I don't love that for fantasy. But, yeah, you're playing Cook, you're playing Allen. I think Kincaid is in play because of the tight end position. The receivers, though, I'm a little bit more likely to try to get away from. Yeah,
Michael, we're during that time of year because when you look at the Saints, you wonder, okay, this team isn't going anywhere. You're holding on to stock, right, if they could get moved. Do we anticipate different addresses here for maybe an Alvin Kamara, maybe a Chris Olave? Will this team be a seller coming up that first Tuesday in November?
It's possible. We haven't really heard any rumblings of that so far, and I think it's a little bit harder to move someone like Alvin Kamara because football is a little bit different than other sports. A guy like Kamara who has been there his entire career, he's the face of the franchise. He means so much to that team and that city. Whereas, like, if this was baseball, it's like, yeah, they're fire selling. But football teams don't always go that route. So maybe we see some of the skill position players move, but I think I would be pretty shocked if Alvin Kamara is one of them, just given the contract he just signed, plus how much he just means to that city and that. I was in New Orleans this summer. He's everywhere, right? Like, there's really no one else from that team that you could say that about. So maybe some of the other guys but he would be surprised.
Yeah, Michael Florio, our guest here, on a Tuesday. It's always great to talk on Tuesday because this is, okay, what might be available? And you look at some situations around the league, and this is not a surprise when you see both teams gathering on a card as they did at Levi Stadium, the Niners and Cardinals game when Connor was carted off there. He's now officially out for the season. So it's not like Arizona is this bevy of fantasy points, but I would imagine that, that's an unsettled situation. Like, who's next man up in that Cardinal backfield? Who might be available tonight?
It's Trey Benson. If he is available, he is the biggest pickup of the season so far. And in fact, like if you have James Conner or if you went hero RB, zero RB in your drafts, if you just are 0-3, whatever your situation is, if you're in need of a running back, I would be very aggressive here, like 60, 70% of your fab budget, obviously a number one waiver pick, all of that, because I was a little worried about James Conner before the injury, and I'm a huge James Conner fan. It was awful to see him get hurt, hoping nothing but the best for him. But the reason I was worried is because Trey Benson was playing a lot more than anticipated, and he was getting the valuable passing reps, those 2-minute drills, third down, all of that. And I was like, if he's getting that really dings James Conner's value. I'm not saying Trey Benson is as good as James Conner, but he could get a James Conner workload now. And what I mean by that is play pretty much most of the carries on the ground, all of the pass game use. Like Emery DeMercado could get in as a change of pace guy. Like Benson's not going to get every single touch there, but he's going to get the vast majority of them. I think he's an RB2 that you could just pick up off the waiver wire and start on Thursday night. And I think he has more upside than that moving forward. But, yeah, he is the big name. In my deeper leagues, I'm throwing a couple of bids on DeMercado just in case. But Benson is the guy you want.
I think Giant fans have every reason to be upset with Brian Daboll. Sunday night, it's very apparent the offense isn't just doing enough. I don't know in the back of his mind, Daboll is thinking I owe the guy one for the Dallas game or whatever it is. To me, the second half would have been the perfect time to get your feet wet, get Jackson Dart in there. Well, a little late, better late than never, I suppose. Dart getting the start here. When you have a situation like this, and there's a lot of owners, Malik Neighbors, that just, that didn't work out last week. You're not benching Neighbors, but how will this all look? And, furthermore, I tell you one guy that does look the part, and I'm happy I've got him in a few leagues. That's Cam Scatterbo. Give me more Cam Scatterbo, Michael F.
Yeah, you're not benching Malik Neighbors at all. In fact, I keep joking. The only time I've seen, from my eyes, that I've seen it look like Malik Neighbors had fun in a Giants uniform was when he got to play with Jackson Dart in preseason. And I think Dart brings a lot more upside than Russ did. Look, I know Russ had that good game week 2 game, but everyone has performed against the Cowboys this year. They really might be the worst defense in football without Micah Parsons. But you saw last week, I mean, he's throwing up moon balls that aren't even in the vicinity. He's nearly getting Malik Neighbors killed. That final drive where everything is on the line in the game. If you don't get a touchdown, you lose. He basically threw 3 away. He threw one to the sound guy. He threw one off the upper. Like it was just ridiculous. I think Jackson Dart brings nothing but upside to this Giants team. He's got a strong arm. He can run. And on Cam Scatterbo, if you remember this summer, I was saying I think Cam Scatterbo is the running back to draft for the Giants. I think he is better, and especially for fantasy purposes, than Tyrone Tracy. This week, the Giants looked like an ASU game. Cam Scatterbo led them in targets, receiving yards, rushing yards. He scored their only touchdown. Like, he led them in every offensive category. I don't expect that necessarily every single week, but one, Tracy's out for a good amount of time, so this is going to be Scatterbo's backfield. He can win in the passing game. You're seeing how he is a bowling ball runner who is just very difficult to tackle. The Giants don't have the best O-line. So you need a guy who could bounce off a contact, break tackles, stuff like that. Scatterbo had more broken tackles in this one game than every other Giant running back has had combined this season. So I have him as a start this week. Obviously, you're playing Wandell Neighbors, and on Jackson Dart. To me, I think he, of the names that are available at the quarterback position off of waivers, I think he has the most upside. Maybe not someone you want to pick up and start right away. So if you need a streamer, maybe go grab someone else first. But no one brings more upside than Dart.
Two dependable receivers. One guy you invested more capital than the other. I've always liked Mike Evans. Like at this point of his career, Mike Evans is, kind of like a bye-week fill-in, or maybe he's like, you would know better than that, but now he's not available. So that's question number one with the Buccaneers. Where do those targets kind of get divvied up? And then now no CeeDee Lamb for the Cowboys. They say, good luck with that. So your thoughts on how these two offenses will work without two main receivers?
Yeah, we might get Chris Godwin back this week. That's seeming more and more likely. But I think for the Bucs that Emeka Egbuka is going to be their top target this week. The rookie's played really well. He has clear chemistry with Baker Mayfield. He could play out wide and in the slot. And Godwin's been out for months now. So as good as it is to have him back, he's probably on a snap count and stuff like that. Want to see him look like himself again first. So for me, with the Bucs, it's Emeka Egbuka. And I know you might be looking like Sterling Shepard is out there on waivers. It's hard for me to get excited about Shepard. He is so boom or bust. And with the Cowboys, I think we saw it the other day. It's going to be a two-man game pretty much with George Pickens and Jake Ferguson. Turbin and Toppin will get mixed in. I went a little bit harder on Turbin when I was setting my waivers this morning, but both of those guys are more like deeper flex options. Ideally, you don't want to play them. But Pickens and Jake Ferguson are must-start options as long as CeeDee Lamb is out. Yeah,
one of the fun things about fantasy football, trying to figure out, okay, which guy do I want to start? When you nail it, it feels really good. And if you're trying to factor in a bunch of things, you want to identify the defense that isn't really good. Are we ready to say that Dallas, based on what they did against the Giants, based on how they really didn't cover that well against the Bears, are the Cowboys one of those defenses? Are you liking a bounce-back week for the Packers here, Michael?
Yeah, I think the Cowboys are the number one defense to target with quarterbacks and wide receivers. Like, we saw Russell Wilson, who you all watched Sunday night, put up 30 fantasy points and finish as the second-best quarterback in Week 2. Caleb Williams had his career-best performance last week. It was the first game ever Caleb was not sacked in the NFL and the lowest pressures he's ever had as an NFL quarterback in any single game. You are going to, and they got more beat up this week. Like Kenny Clark might be out. So this is a defense that we are 100% attacking. I think Jordan Love is a must start. Every quarterback who has faced the Cowboys has scored at least 24 fantasy points this year. And Jordan Love plays his best on Sunday Night Football. He averages like 24 points per game. And I think, look, obviously you're playing Kraft, you're playing Josh Jacobs. But when it comes to the receivers, I think this is going to be the week that we see Matthew Golden really take that next step forward. He played more snaps than Dontavian Wicks last week. He led the team in receiving yards, starting to look a little bit more comfortable. It is such a good matchup. And Matthew Golden's not the only one. Like, I keep saying it. I think Week 4 is going to be the week that this rookie class really breaks out. Like, I have in my Start Sit article that comes out tomorrow, I have 2 rookie wide receivers, 5 rookie running backs in it, a rookie tight end, Tyler Warren. I think this is going to be a huge week for a lot of these big-name rookies that maybe have not fully lived up to our expectations yet. I think that is going to start changing.
Love it. Bold prediction from Michael F. Florio for the coming week here. You mentioned Benson, and for teams that, hey, it's only 3 weeks in. The NFL, you're 0-3. Okay, maybe it's not looking so good. No, fantasy, you can do this here. You can fix things. So what other advice? What are some other guys that you could possibly target that you're seeing available in leagues right now, Michael?
I'll say it's not the best week for waivers, and I know that's not what people want to hear. Like, if Trey Benson's out there, I like him. I like Troy Franklin. Even though he didn't do much this past week, he was out there the entire time, and that's what I really want to see, the usage. I think Darnell Mooney, Alec Iomanner are other names you could grab, maybe Hunter Henry. But what I really think, if you're sitting there at 0-3, I think you need to try to make some trades this week, right? Like I said, I think a lot of these rookies, Ashton Genty, Hampton, Travion Henderson, who have been disappointing. Outside of Hampton, he had a good game last week. But, like, I think you try to buy low on those guys because the schedules get better for them, and rookies just naturally get more and more comfortable as the year goes on. So I think what you have to do at 0-3 is try to buy low and maybe you try to you make a move where you sell your best player and you get like two really good. I don't love doing that, but you got to do what you got to do because 0-3 you can come back from. But when we start talking 0-4, 0-5, you really are putting yourself in a position where you almost nearly need to win out, and no one wants to be in that position. So you're definitely not done at 0-3, but you need to start getting wins soon. So be proactive, be aggressive, and don't just sit there and be like, well, my team is naturally going to start playing better, unless you had guys hurt or something like that, something has changed with your team, then okay, you could feel different. But I have one 0-3 team. It's a 14-team league. Waivers are gross. I'm going to be trying to flip some trades this week.
It's a week where you mentioned the Bills defense, and sure, Denver at home, the second game on Monday Night Football this week in Cincinnati, and they've been that was a disaster last week. I don't know if that's going to right itself right away. I don't see any obvious streaming defense plays, or are there? Like when you're surveying the landscape, what would be some other safe options here?
Yeah, you mentioned the Broncos. They're the number one defense for me this week. I like the Bills a lot as well. I think the Texans are in play because it's like the Titans are trying to do everything they possibly can to make life as hard as they can on Cam Ward, giving up a ton of pressure, sacks, drops. I think the Bears are in play against the Raiders. They've had O-line issues. They've had protecting the ball issues. And the Steelers against the Vikings. I don't think we really got to see anything out of Carson Wentz last week. We didn't get any answers, but he threw one scripted touchdown, and then they got two pick sixes, and the game was over at that point. But the Vikings have been giving up sacks at the highest rate and a ton of pressure. And then lastly, the Chargers against the Giants. I liked it more with Russ than Dart, but they're in play, and the Patriots are in play against the Panthers, who were already an offense we were kind of looking to stream against some weeks, but then last week they had to put two starting O-linemen on IR, so they're even more vulnerable now.
Yeah, the Ireland game aside this week, because we get ticket prices that are off the charts for that one. You know the highest price ticket right now in the secondary market? It isn't Bears and Raiders. At one point it was. It's Bills and Saints. And what's happening here this week,
really?
Michael? Yep, because we only have two of these left at Highmark. 1 o'clock Sunday. If you grew up in West New York, this was the tradition. You went with your dad. You went with your mom. You went with your buddies. And this was always the time that it played. And now that we're in this, I can't tell you, Michael, how many requests I've gotten for tickets. Like I'm like all of a sudden magically I've got this stash of tickets. I don't, but we got to get you back up here, buddy, for one last go round here at Highmark.
Two things. One, it's week 4. How is this the second to last 1 o'clock home kickoff? I know what the Bills' schedule is. I don't know the times and the dates and stuff of the games. That makes absolutely no sense to me. It feels kind of shocking. And two, I've already told my wife, I've talked with Stevie Johnson. I can't make it out in the regular season, but it feels pretty safe that there will be a playoff game this year in Buffalo. If that happens, I will be going there. Me and Stevie have already talking about we want to take over a bar, do a show, something like that the night before. So very, very much so in the early stages of that, but I do plan on getting out to the Ralph one last time before it closes, probably in the playoffs.
Well, we should talk offline. I mean, Rochester's only hour 10. If you could squeeze it in on the week. I don't know what your commitments for the NFL Network will be once we get to the postseason. I did it once. That was fun. NFL fantasy football in the postseason. It's just okay, it's a new beginning, and you and your buddies, and it's a whole different strategy. Is that something you would suggest?
If you are into that, yeah. I don't tend to play a ton of playoff fantasy because if your team loses, and also at that point of the year, my brain is usually all fantasied out. But usually in January, that is the 1 month a year I allow myself to take my analyst hat on and just be a Bills fan because fantasy's over. The Bills are in the playoffs, not really looking to the draft and stuff. So I won't have a ton of fantasy commitment to do that weekend. So if I could make it work and get out to Rochester, I would love to do that.
Yeah, we'll make plans here. Michael F. Florio, co-host, as you mentioned, with Stevie Johnson, the Sick podcast. Tell everybody about where that drops and where they can get more of your content as we prepare here for our next week of fantasy.
Yeah, the Sick podcast, Bills Banter with me and Stevie. It's on YouTube. It's wherever you listen to podcasts. And we not only talk Bills and break down the game, and Stevie could do that better than anyone as a former player, but we have a lot of fun. Like last week, Stevie was bowling in the middle of the show. I mean, point to me another podcast where that happens in the middle of an episode. Like, it's so much fun getting to host with him. And then besides that, I'm on NFL Network today on Insiders, tomorrow, the rest of the week either on Fantasy Live or Insiders. Start and sit-ems out tomorrow. Florio's Football Show, Rotoballer, a lot of places. And, Gene, before I go, I need your official prediction. 1 week from today, will I be at Dodger Stadium rooting on for the Mets, or will I be home sad wishing I was at Dodger Stadium?
You will have come to grips that you don't have to go through the sweat and the stress of Mets baseball. If you want to go see Dodgers Reds, knock yourself out there, Michael.
I will not do that. But if the Mets make it, I already told my wife 2 weeks ago. I was like, we're going to Game 1 if they make it.
Well, so that's interesting. Yeah, we might not get you then Tuesday. Like, say the Mets get. Do they start on Tuesday or Wednesday? See, like that's how
they start Tuesday, I believe.
They start Tuesday, and for us on the East Coast, no, that wouldn't be a 1 o'clock Pacific. I think we could do this. Maybe we were doing this. I've been to Dodger Stadium. Fantastic. The only thing about Dodger Stadium is getting in and getting out. Now, I'm not telling you anything you don't already know, but everything else, like the sight lines, perfect there, Michael.
Yeah, I went last year to NLCS Mets-Dodgers Game 2. It was the only game they won in L.A. Vientos hits the grand slam. I told my wife I was not going to be loud at the stadium, and then he hit that grand slam, and I've never screamed louder at a sporting event in my life. Got some dirty looks and stuff, but it was a really good time. And then that night was Bills-Jets Monday Night Football, and I was like, this is sports heaven for me, except for it took me an hour and a half to get out of the stadium, and I missed the first half of the game.
You got time for a quick story? I don't mean to keep you too much, but like you brought up yelling at a Met game, and that's the one sport where I let myself go to. So friends with a guy in Kansas City. His name's Jay Bankley, and he's a Royals fan. And he invited me out. The Mets are playing the Royals. I don't know if you remember this series or not. Went pretty well for the Mets, right? And so I go out, and it's the Saturday afternoon game, and it's close. The Mets at this point are up 2-1. It's in the 8th inning, and Bobby Witt is on first base. And Bobby Witt slides, and he steals. Now the place is going crazy, tying run on second base. And then the Mets are doing the earmuff thing to say, check it. I'm like, he's not safe. And then I'm watching it. What they're showing on the scoreboard is not giving you any indication that the call is going to get overturned. And I'm thinking, the longer this goes, they're going to overturn it. Finally, they come out. After further review, the call has been overturned. And the place boos. The place is going nuts. And I'm cackling, knowing that, oh, my gosh, after a first down last year that was overturned and all these Chiefs calls, and, like, I am cackling. I'm in Kansas City, and I'm laughing, wearing all my Mets stuff. And I'm a few beers in, and I make this poor judgment, Mike, because I turn around, and I'm looking up at the upper deck, and I just scream at the top of my lungs, yeah, Kansas City, now you know how us Bills fans feel. And
oh, no.
I just get these glares. The guys I'm with the game look at me like, no, don't do that. And these Kansas City fans, they're kind of genteel. It's Royals. They're not really boisterous. And it was just one of those, that was inappropriate. You did that, and I didn't get anybody. But then when the Mets end up winning the game, and this guy comes up to me at the end of the game with a pointer finger, I'm like, oh, no. With the pointer finger in the air, I'm like, oh, no, I don't want to fight about this. And he's like, that was the worst call in the history of baseball. You know what? You're right, man. You're absolutely right. Yep. Have a nice day. Thanks, Michael, thanks for humoring me on that story. So you can tell your wife you're not as bad as the guys in Rochester. Appreciate it, Mike.
Hey, look, as a fellow Mets and Bills fan, I joke all the time that no city has broken my heart more than Kansas City of all places.
I know. It felt good for one afternoon to get over on him, certainly. Michael, thanks. Enjoy Mets baseball. I hope I'm wrong on that. I'm hoping you're at the game Tuesday next week.
Me too, and whether I am or not, we'll definitely set up a time to talk. Maybe I'll call you from the stadium.
Yeah, wow, that would be fantastic. Would love that. Michael, good luck this week.
Thank you. You as well, and go Bills.
Go Bills. Michael F. Florio. Fantastic stuff. You knew that story, right?
He's the best. Yeah. I love that story.
Yeah, that story. And for folks, I just had, maybe I've told the story.
Unhinged Gene. Love
Unhinged, uncharacteristic.
Yeah.
That was like, that's
a me move.
I'm not drinking IPAs, but then when you're not driving and you're just on kind of I was a little loose.
Out of your element, trying to feel comfortable.
Yeah, the wife isn't there, as she says. She let me off the leash that weekend. You've been in many a situation. That's why you're terrible. Some people have dubbed you terrible time, Timmy.
Yep.
I've
done some stuff.
You've done some stuff.
Some stuff is actually probably the way to say it.
But I have never gotten into a finger quote fight at a sporting event. I always kind of laugh, like, you pay all this money. How do you do that? And here I was. You could see how something like that be like, really, pal, shush. That
enemy lines, goading the opponent.
Yeah, goading the opponent, like, ha, 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 ha.
I like it.
I felt I had to do something for Rochester. So
I would never do it myself, not on enemy lines. But if I hurt somebody's feelings to the point where they want to physically assault me with my words, I mean, that's kind of on them.
No, it's you're at a sporting event. It should just be for fun and everything. And Binkley was cool about it afterward. I'm like, oh, sorry, dude. And he's like, no, don't worry about it. And the thing is, the kicker to that story, Tim, is what they show you on the in-stadium scoreboard isn't like Witt was out. Like, you see,
right.
And this is the crazy part. It's like, is he really out? Okay, we're zooming in the lens, and his knee comes up. Oh, yeah, 1/8 of an inch, and he's out. Like, that's literally, to me, that's garbage.
I don't like that. I mean, the objective is to get it right, but if you're pausing something, a real-time thing that's happening in an instant, and you have to pause a moving video to see if they are right or wrong, I think you go with what you made originally. But that's neither here nor there. They made the call, you made your scene, and here we are, alive to talk about it.
That is a lot of fun. We appreciate Michael F. Florio. We have time for your calls. It's happy hour. Sports bar, happy hour. We have this imagery here.
I don't get
sports bar. You don't get it. You know what we don't get? Like, the guy who sometimes sits over there. Number one question is, do you guys really drink on the show? I do on rare occasions, like if it's the holidays, but I get over my skis. You know me. I'll end up yelling at Royals fans if I get over my skis. Don't want to do that. You on the other hand,
with a live mic.
Yeah, no, that to me, bad idea. Bad idea. But Danger, on the other hand, you really can't tell.
You never know.
You never know. Yeah, you're in the sports bar. Happy hour is on the way. Let's talk about some of these things that happened in football today. Quarterback change, big name getting fired in college. We've got those stories, and your calls at 866-4FAN, 866-4326. You're on the Fan Rochester.
95.7 FM and AM 950 The Fan, Rochester, an Odyssey sports station. The Fan, Rochester, sports update.
One more day of rest for Bills players. They're back at it tomorrow. Practice getting ready for the Saints. For the Bills, a 16.5-point favorite. Dan Orlovsky expects the Bills to have their way with the Saints' offensive line.
You know, their offensive line is struggling pass protection. You can get home after Rattler. They have not been an explosive offense. And I just think defensively, they realize they're going to have to force some takeaways to try to give them some opportunities. The Bills should absolutely take advantage of that.
Bishop Kearney grad Thomas Bryant leaving the Indiana Pacers today. He signs with the Cleveland Cavaliers. College football, Mike Gundy fired as the head coach today at Oklahoma State. He had been there 21 years. Sabres preseason game tonight against Columbus. The Yankees hosting the White Sox. Their magic number is down to 1. The Mets are in Wrigley. Gene Battaglia, the sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan, Rochester.
That's where you are. Welcome to the sports bar. That's where you are. Welcome to the sports bar. That's where you are. With Danger and Battaglia.
Did you ever get on the phone with somebody who's like, "Hey, I only have a couple minutes." I don't.
Usually it's me because I don't want to be on the phone.
Yeah, I am. Anybody's known on it. Like the joke is, I will try to rush you off the phone or everything. I'm just very quick with people. Get to the point. I'm what they call a censor, meaning, hey, cut the flowery stuff. I want to get to the point. But in sales, that doesn't work, and that's the one thing I learned over the years, Tim. Hey, if I'm dealing with somebody and we got to talk about kids and vacation, in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, I don't care. But you do it, and then I've just had to take a call during the break, but I'm like, I really have to be quick here. I can't,
got 2 minutes. Get in, get out, let's go.
Yeah, literally, I'm going to have to hang up on you, and I don't. This person doesn't know what I do for a living, and it's the follow up to the story I led with at the top of the show, and I'll try to give you the 30-second abridge. By the way, we will get to the Bills. Welcome, Gene Battaglia, Tim Schneider here. Danger is out this week again on assignment. He gets a lot of assignments around here. The quick story, the bridge version. Hear a noise in my car. Go to the local yokel mechanic. And the guy says, not to me, but I hear in the garage, I didn't hear anything. There's nothing wrong with that. And then get the oil changed. Drive back. I still hear the oil change. Bring the owner in. I'm like, what is that? Oh, well, bring it back in. Bring it back in. Oh, gosh, Gene, I don't know how to tell you this. You're going to need a transmission.
Nice.
Great. Well, wait. Ding. Still under warranty. All right, this isn't disastrous. So take it to the dealer. And again, I'm recusing all the names here. All the names for the purpose of this have been recused. Take it to the dealer. Dealer then, okay, here comes the call. And I see the call coming in. Since I'm doing a radio show, I can't exactly pick it up. So it's phone tag all afternoon. Finally, during that last commercial break, okay, I can pick this up. Yeah, Gene, it is your transmission. We're in the process of getting quotes for you. This is the dealer.
That's bad.
I'm like, how could you not know that's under warranty? I'm like, no, that should be under warranty. Wait, you're right. Okay, great. But long story short, I feel like I'm 15 years old because I do not have a car, Tim. I have to rely on the executive producer to come pick me up today, and she can drive me into work tomorrow, and no car.
If it makes it easier on the executive producer, tomorrow I can give you a ride home. I can't get you here, but I can take you home.
I can ride around with Timmy.
What's the worst thing? Well, actually, there are so many bad things that could happen. Yeah. But if she needs a favor, I can provide that for you if necessary.
Right. And again, there's Uber drivers.
It is frustrating.
I've taken a driver in town, but it's like, when you don't have your car.
When you're at the mercy of others.
Yeah, and that's
feels like you're inconveniencing other people.
And no one wants to hear the word, it's your transmission. How could it be my transmission? How?
Fortunately, it's warranty. Unfortunately, they didn't know that it was warranty. Customer service or whatever.
Well, yeah.
You'll get it fixed.
All the names have been recused.
You'll have your
for the
4
purpose of
wheels
the
in no
story.
time. But in the meantime, you're going to have to be 15 again and ask your mom for a ride.
Yeah, that's where we're at. And look, if that's the biggest problem I have today, then you know what, Tim? I don't really have any problems.
That's correct.
Let's put it on that way.
And also having no problems is a 16.5-point favorite coming Sunday.
Wow, you are a radio genius with the segue.
Thank you.
I was gonna wrap that up by saying I have a friend. He goes by Yurgi. Maybe you've known the name Yurgi over the years. You're a bar owner in town, you know Yurgi. Yurgi dropped this knowledge on me last night. It's easy to be angry. It's hard to be nice. So
prophetic.
That's where I'm. Nice doesn't always work in radio. Rome would always do nice radio, and it was just kind of like mock it. But I will try to be nice and work our way through this. Yeah, we're not worried about the Saints. That was our survive in advance pick, and normally I want to like build up the suspense. What are we gonna do? What are we gonna do? I can't lie to you. You knew this was the pick.
It's staring you in the face.
You like, hey, if you go against the Bills this week, you do your own thing. I'm just issuing you the warning. Don't do that. Don't do that.
Is there any value in being a contrarian when 85% are all in on it?
How? How are the Saints going to win? Answer that question.
I agree.
Answer that question.
I agree there.
Why would you actually take on any risk for that? You're saying, well, why don't I just save the Bills until they're home against? It doesn't even matter.
Well, it's not saving. The mindset there is that it's not saving. It's that everybody's all in on it. And if something should happen, I'm on the line.
Shush.
Why?
Shush.
Just think about it.
No, I don't want you to like jinx the Bills. We don't want to bring up injury or whatever.
All right.
Like the idea, and you took Michael F. Florio, that is the shocking thing, that it was a price ticket. Funny how like ticket markets fluctuate now. It's almost like stock. For Chicago at Las Vegas, that ticket at one point was north of, and maybe let this be a lesson here for any Bills fan. Wait on tickets sometimes. That ticket, Tim, was north of $400 at one point, which makes sense. Hey, we're the Bears. Hey, a lot of optimism. Think Mike Danger. Well, I'm really excited about the Bears this year. Yeah. Let's go to Vegas. Yay. Let's get tickets. Wow, they're really expensive. Well, once in a lifetime. YOLO. Here we go. That ticket's dropped to $221.
Still pricey.
Still pricey. But that's not the biggest price on the secondary market this week. Saints at Bills, $266 to get in price. Family of four, before we even get to the nonsense fees you got to pay on top of that,
right.
It's well over a G.
You're spending $1,200 just to stand in that vicinity, in the building, plus whatever else you're incurring along the way and within.
Yeah, so it's
a $2,000 day.
Right. It's unbelievable. And the reason for that is simple. It has nothing to do with Saints. Sure, the Bills are winning and we expect this. It's the stadium that you grew up in. And, oh my gosh, I want to see that one last time, but this is the time. And you look ahead to the calendar. This is the last day you're going to be guaranteed nice weather. 74 degrees and sun in September, just a little bit of Christmas in the air as you're going on out, as I'm playing the weatherman here. That's the real reason that, hey, why don't we do this one last time? And it's a 1 o'clock game. This is the time that Bills fans love. Sure, you can go to the Chiefs at 4:25. You can do the Buccaneers in November at 1 o'clock. But tell me what the weather's going to be like. You have no idea November 15th. This game, it's crazy to me, but we knocked the socks off of Mike Florio when I told him that. Like, hey, this game is the priciest ticket, aside from the Dublin ticket, which is just under $800.
I mean, when you're going across the country, you're already committed to the pot there, so you're paying whatever.
Yeah, you're already stuck in Dublin.
To be invited to Buffalo, New York for the simple cost of $266, that's a tough pill to swallow, but people are willingly doing it.
Yeah,
so
I'd like...
The price is what it is for a reason.
Do not call me looking for tickets. Do not ask for any leads. I don't have any tickets. I tell my friends and clients, I love you.
Good luck.
Good luck. I just there's no secret kitty here. Our phone number 866-4FAN 866-4326. We talked to Matt Perino, Syracuse Post Standard, Shout podcast. I think one of the things that's really interesting with this Bills offense, and it was an area that we had identified for years, but now we see it coming to fruition. But it's almost like post hype. It's not a 2 tight end set. It's a 3 tight end set. What Jackson Hawes has brought to Buffalo, like Alec Anderson is the 6th offensive lineman. Okay, extra beef. But now when Hawes is out there, you don't know what the Bills are going to run. Oh, by the way, Hawes, he might be okay as a receiver. If you're not familiar with his story, went to Yale, gets his degree at Yale. He's pretty good. You know what? Let me try this NFL thing, but to boost my stock, I still had a year left in eligibility to go play in the ACC and go play at Georgia Tech. But again, that's not the best passing offense either, but at least he's showing on tape that he could block. As a blocker, everybody agreed, yeah, this kid can block, but who knows if he can receive. That is the one position in the NFL. Quarterback's not the answer. Sure, you can get a 4th-round pick in Dak Prescott, who's been serviceable. But by and large, everybody points to Brady. Okay, yeah, that was
outlier.
Yeah, 25 years ago.
Russell Wilson also outlier.
Yeah,
it happens. 15, it's not a thing.
Not a thing. You're going to have to pay the price, 1st-round pick. Okay, tight end's different. Yes, you have 1st-rounders. You come from every direction here, and the Bills invested a 1st-round pick in Dalton Kincaid. But here's Jackson Hawes going in round 5. Looking like, Tim, I'm excited about this kid. I want to see more of this kid. And it could be just, he hasn't been game planned for. Like teams might be just kind of asleep at the wheel here. Let's see how this kind of progresses. And it's not going to be this week. What are the Saints going to do? The Saints are going to stop anything. So, but when you get up against a quality defense, maybe say Atlanta, in a few weeks, maybe even it's the Patriots next week on a Sunday night. Like what happens with the Bills and this 3 tight end set that the Bills are running more and more these days?
They've looked really good in the 3 games that's been played. He has been a huge difference maker, both in the run and the pass game with his blocking abilities. He's putting himself out there. They're putting him on the field because he's earned it, and the Bills are able to benefit from that. And it might be crazy to say the Bills haven't even had their 1st-round draft pick play yet this year. And this is probably Beane's best draft class so far in his tenure with the Bills. Like they've hit on everything so far that's had a chance to play. Walker's looked incredible. Hawes has been a huge play offensively. They've looked good, and we haven't even seen the number 1 pick play yet.
Yeah, I mean, if there's one thing that I disagree with other members of other Bills observers, it's that the Bills don't do enough to address the pass catching situation. And I would just say, your top pick last year was a receiver. Maybe they didn't pick the right one, in your opinion. We could debate that. I personally wanted Ladd McConkey. Your top pick was a pass catcher 2 years ago. 3 years ago, I should say. 2 years ago, it was Coleman. 3 years ago, it was Kincaid. This year, you had a glaring, neon, big, bright spotlight need at corner. We all knew the Bills are going to take a corner.
Right. We didn't know it was going to be Harrison, but we knew that that position was going to be That was going
to be filled early. And the Bills didn't do enough, in other positions to fill, wide receiver. Like,
you've got Josh Allen.
You got Josh Allen. You have an offense that's moving at an historical clip. That word sometimes gets thrown around like, no, they've never done this. All these stats I could spew at you in 3 straight games. Scoring 30 points is now just a given for this offense. If the Bills don't score 30 against the Saints, put it this way, Tim. We come back Hey, welcome to the show. It's Gene Battaglia and Mike Danger. He's in Colorado this week. Hey, glad to have you with us. And we're talking about the Bills' 28-7 win over the Saints. Our phone number, 866-4FA1. Well, the Bills cover. They beat the Saints by 20. And the first call, we go to Luke in Rochester. I can't believe the Bills' offense did. We would be having a conversation. That is where the bar is set. Like, not only are you going to win big, but you're going to win big in a style that we want.
You have to be able to adjust to whatever the game plan says. Like, beating the Dolphins the other day wasn't all that impressive, but there were still a lot of positives that came from it, and people were disappointed with that result.
Well,
that they had to play a full 60.
Yeah, exactly. Like, what was your argument about the Bills' offense in that game?
They didn't air it out enough, which is fine, but they didn't need to.
They didn't need to.
James Cook got paid and has earned it. He's already had a return on investment there.
If anything, that showed us that if Super Bowl 25 showed us too. If you can minimize the possessions for the team that has the red hot offense, you're going to give yourself a shot. And I was doing the Aquinas RH game on Thursday, so I get to the car and I've been following along, like in commercial breaks, what's going on. And I hear Chris Brown picking up that. Yeah, we reached the half. And the thing that's interesting to me, Eric, is that the Bills had only 3 first-half possessions with the exception of that. What? 3 possessions in the half? And the kneel down, that might have been a fumble, whatever. Right. I'm not going to get upset about it. That's... wait a second. And the Bills, they took the ball and they marched right down the field. They scored a touchdown. I'm like, okay, here we go. And then the defense just couldn't come around. So they got the job done when it mattered most. You won by 10, but we're all wondering. We look at things differently with this team, Tim. It's not did you beat the Dolphins. It's would that performance work in an AFC championship game or a Super Bowl? That's it. Would it work against the Eagles in the Super Bowl or whoever it is, the Lions? Funny how the Lions all of a sudden they changed the narrative about their team. Wow, that was impressive last night. That's where you are. And newsflash, anything short of the Bills putting up north of 30 and covering,
right?
We are going to say there's going to be the yeah buts. Yeah, but the Bills are sloppy again. Yeah, but Spencer Rattler, you can't these guys are paid by the NFL too, the Saints, last time I checked.
The demand to be damn near perfect, it's almost exhausting. Like, the Bills are awesome. They've basically already clinched the 1 seed based on the rest of their schedule and how the season has played out so far between Kansas City and Baltimore, and they're going to cannibalize each other this week. The Bills are in such a good spot that we're nitpicking things to bitch about just because we're not used to things being this good. So do we believe this? Did we actually earn this? Is this really happening before our eyes? And it is. And there's a lot of things to look forward to over these next 4 months, to the point where we're self-sabotaging ourselves, wondering. We're playing against Vegas.
Yeah, we're skipping ahead of the story. It's like, okay, and there's nothing wrong with that. That is where the bar is set. So I just bring it back. We can't skip ahead of the story. And to bring this back full circle, how do you not skip ahead of the story? You live in the moment. And the moment is it's going to be 74 and sunny on Sunday. You're bringing in an inferior opponent, and it's going to be one big-ass party. And it's one of those games, Tim, where if you're going to go from Rochester, may I make a suggestion? Leave a little earlier. Here's why. If there is this, I want to just be a part of this last year sort of thing working, there was a game, I should know the year. It's the year where all of a sudden Terry Pagula buys the Buffalo Bills. And we have to think back to that was the year leading up to that wasn't just the lowest year of the drought. That was the lowest year, in my opinion, of the franchise. Here's why. You had years of 2-14. Well, we remember that, right? You had years where Greg Williams went 3-13, but you never had a threat like the group led by John Bon Jovi and Maple Leaf Sports and Entertainment. And they were making a play for the team, and we really didn't know, what the future was going to hold for Buffalo. And then Terry Pegula got chosen as the new owner of the Bills, and it was just the biggest sigh of relief. And that news happens like midweek leading up to 2. And I remember Duffy called me up. He's like, hey, let's put a bar night together. I want to just celebrate. And we did. We did it right on the fly. Hey, come on down to this place, and we're going to celebrate the Buffalo Bills staying in Buffalo. That's how big a deal it was. And then to carry that over throughout the week, home opener, Bills against Dolphins. That was the game C.J. Spiller returns one for a touchdown, right? Bills end up winning. But Tim, what ended up happening was the parking lots got full that morning because everybody just wanted to go down and tailgate. It was just, okay, yes, I want to continue the party and I want to tailgate. And I'm just wondering, with this being a Sunday 1 o'clock game, are we going to have more of that effect that, you know what, I don't have a ticket to this game, but you know what? Why don't we just go down anyways and tailgate and eat and drink, and it's going to be beautiful out, and we'll watch the game on our phone, and we'll just all sit around, and we'll hear the cheer from the crowd on the parking lot. That would sound like fun. How many? I would think there's more than one person that might want to try that this week.
I know with certainty, I've got friends, I don't know if they're doing it this week, but they've already done it this year, where they wake up in the morning, they're like, maybe let's just go. And if tickets drop and they become accessible and available, let's buy in. Otherwise, we're going to go hang out. We're going to have a great time doing things with like-minded people, and we can find a spot there to watch it. So, yes, that's happening in droves.
Our number, 866-4FAN, 866-4326. There's other stories we're going to get to here coming up in shots. 1 week, we didn't talk about here this segment. Giants make the move at quarterback today, which they should have made halftime on Sunday Night Football. You weren't winning that game against the Chiefs, but you know what? Start the clock now with the kid Jackson Dart. You're wasting time with Russell Wilson. Brian Daboll, he's in trouble, we can all kind of admit, but now this will buy him a few weeks. It might buy him the rest of the season. And knowing Giant management, that's probably going to be the case. So ultimately, will Jackson Dart make enough progress to the point where you say he is something you can work with for next year? And if that's the case, we're going to keep the head coach. Or if Jackson Dart's just so good and you realize, oh my gosh, the Giants are winning games and their head coach, and this would be an attractive offer for somebody else. I don't know which way it's going to go, but I'm fascinated to see how Jackson Dart does this week against the Chargers.
It will definitely be something to keep an eye on, especially if he pans out over the course of the season. So he's looked good in the time that he's taken. Russell Wilson has been all right fantasy-wise, but he has not been good enough to lead this team to victory, as evidenced by their 0-3 record. But there's a lot to look forward to with somebody like Jackson Dart. That's the franchise they've invested in Jackson Dart. They have to find out if he's the answer, and if it costs Daboll his job long term, so be it. But you've got to throw him out there, see what happens, and if it doesn't work, you've got to be able to fix that quickly.
Our phone number, 866-4FAN. We'll get to some of those other stories and shots. We always have a time for a call. Chris in Canandaigua. Chris, what's up, buddy?
Yeah, hi, guys. Great show today. I just wanted to chime in on, you guys were talking about, people possibly going up just to tailgate, and that's all I've done the last 3 years. I tailgate at the Mafia House, and guys leave, or people that have RVs on that lot leave their TVs out. For the home opener, I was up there by noon and left at kickoff, and I was home by the fourth quarter.
That's outstanding.
You've gone to every game, or just
game,
the ones that you've done?
The last 3 years ago, I went to every home game. Last year, I only went to a couple, and I just had hip replacement surgery, so I went to the home opener. I'm hoping to be back up there for the November 16th game.
All right, Chris, look, so I'm just curious about this. So our instincts are right on this. When you're, okay, so everybody, and you could hear the crowd, like, how many people do you observe just hanging out in the lot? Now, if it's at the house, I'm thinking of maybe you can't answer this question because you're really not getting a big picture, but what can you observe about other people just hanging out when the game's going on?
At the Mafia House, there's probably 15 to 20 watching the game on the TV.
That's awesome. A season ticket tailgater. That's pretty cool.
That's great.
And the cool thing is, where the Mafia House is situated, you can hear the crowd. You can see the video board in the stadium. It's about a 30-second delay, so if the crowd goes nuts, you need to pay attention to the TV.
That is also something because you don't realize, okay, the delay on TV, the latency on streaming. Chris, appreciate the insight. You're gonna have a nice game to watch from the Mafia House this week, bud. That's ultimate.
Oh, it's awesome, man. It's a great time.
Yeah, Chris, thanks for listening. Appreciate the kind words at 866-4FAN, 866-4326. Yeah, people who are going to just go to tailgate and not go to the game itself, I 2 thumbs up for that. Just enjoy. That's my traffic advisory, though, that we may get
there by 9.
Yeah, it might be getting more of that this week. More coming up next year on The Fan.
update.
One more day of rest for Bills players. Practice resuming tomorrow. It's the Bills and Saints coming up at Highmark. Dan Orlovsky today on One Bills Live talking about Spencer Rattler.
There's not a throw that he does not think he's capable of making. You'd say he's as talented throwing the football as anybody. So he's very aggressive with the football. I don't want to say like a recklessness, but if he feels like he can fit a ball into a window, if you give him a one-on-one situation to the perimeter, he's going to take it.
We'll have the kickoff coming up Sunday. It will be pregame coverage beginning at 9 a.m. Bishop Kearney, Grant Thomas Bryant, now a member of the Cleveland Cavaliers. College football, Mike Gundy fired today at Oklahoma State. Sabres tonight, preseason game in Columbus. Yankees hosting the White Sox. Their magic number, the Yankees at 1. The Mets are at Wrigley. Gene Battaglia, the sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan, Rochester.
Bills fans, Odyssey is your home for football. Stay up to date on everything Bills, no matter where you are, with the Odyssey app and the sports leader, The Fan, Rochester.
Is that funny? Like we were waiting, if McDaniel could be the first name that is going to be fired? The answer is no, as we just mentioned in the update. It's Mike Gundy. Welcome back here to the Sports Bar. Gene Battaglia with you today. Tim Schneider is in for danger. Gundy had been there 21 years, but Tim, this is the reality now. Like they're programs too, and it used to be, well, their kids, give them the last year. Well, recruiting. No, if your constituents are that upset and they're going to stop giving money or whatever it is, or they stop buying tickets, or hey, recruiting season's actually going now. It's like the NFL. To me, when you look at a team that lost 11 of the last 12, as the Cowboys did, and they're really irrelevant in that conference, I don't care what Mike Gundy has done. Don't care what he said when he was 40 years old. He's 58. It was time for a change there. Doug Meacham is now the interim head coach.
College football at that level has always been pretty cutthroat, but now with NIL and everything else, it's a completely different beast. And if you're going in as a favorite against a state rival in Tulsa, and rival in quotes because I don't think Oklahoma State cares about Tulsa, and you lose to them, you're going to have to pay some sort of consequence. It's unfortunate that it's his job, but he'll be fine.
This is some drama. Landry Kiffin. I'm underlying Kiffin here. Landry is the daughter of Ole Miss head coach Lane Kiffin. Landry just this week on social media announcing she's got a new beau. LSU linebacker Whit Weeks, LSU and Ole Miss playing this Saturday. Daddy issues, Tim?
Nothing like an inside troll job. I don't know if that fires up both fan bases or one, but somebody's upset at somebody, and Ole Miss has to go out now and
if you're LSU,
control that.
LSU is they're probably laughing at this, right?
As a fan base, yeah.
As a fan base, they're like, yeah.
There are so many memes and quips that you can come up with when something like this happens. And Lane Kiffin is active on social media, so this will be fun to watch as it unfolds. But I hope as father, not that I am, but I hope as a father, he kind of just stays out of it and does his actual job and doesn't intervene with any of that nonsense.
Doesn't have to intervene whatsoever. But now every time the kid makes a tackle for LSU now I never heard of the name Whit Weeks.
He's got a brother that plays on the team too.
Okay,
I watched that Clemson game, so those names stuck out to me.
Yeah, you're up on your college football. ABS is coming to Major League Baseball, Tim. We all figured this was happening, right? We saw it in AAA. They brought it to spring training. Old guys like Max Scherzer, I don't like this. Well, too bad. Now teams beginning next season will be allowed 2 challenges per game. If you keep winning them, you keep them. Challenges can only be initiated by a pitcher, catcher, or batter. Can't come from the bench. Has to come right after the pitch. Again, this is going to be a little different wrinkle for next year. And hey, if it's going to make the umpiring better, why not? At first, I'm like, I don't like this, but like anything new, you get used to it, and I'm okay with it. And I think baseball fans will eventually be okay with this too.
Yeah, I'm glad that we actually got to this too, because Chuck Munchiapet reached out asking for my thoughts on this earlier in the show, but we were talking about the Bills at that point. This is something that's good, and it's been something that's been implemented in the minors for years, so it's going to unravel just fine because they've tested it so often for the last 5 or 6 seasons in the minors. we're used to it over here at Innovative Field. So I'm good with it. And if it makes the product and the execution better, I'm all on board. Like, there's nothing to lose from getting the calls correct.
And while we're getting to the people, C.J. Gardner-Johnson available.
He did get cut today, yes.
He get cut. Okay. Like, I want proven talent, to quote the Rams, F those picks. So, like, when we talked to Matt Perino, like, all right, Chris Olave, let's say he's on the block, and we don't know for sure he is or not. Would you do a third-round pick? Sure.
Absolutely.
Okay, well, who would be the corner version of that? And that's hard for me to say. But we laugh at Rasul, not laugh at. We don't think much of Rasul Douglas now that he's in Miami. But when the Bills flipped the third-round pick to Green Bay, or it was actually a pick swap to be more accurate, that was a heck of a pickup. He came in, made plays, helped out. Corner is number one on the list. You're right about that, Chris. Always appreciate your contributions, but I don't know necessarily if a guy off the street like C.J. Johnson-Gart, there's a reason why he's out. Maple Leafs goaltender Joseph Woll, I remember him with the Marlies, Tim, taking a personal leave to attend to a family matter. The team putting out a statement today, the Leafs asking for privacy, and that's that. So Anthony Stolarz, still a 1A goal for the Leafs, 1B being Woll, but 1B for the time being is open because we don't know if he'll be back in the season or what this is all about.
You never want to see something like that come up, and it could be minor, it could be major, but anytime it's personal leave right before the season starts, you're left wondering.
And then the team saying we're asking for privacy is the big shield. Okay, so don't investigate this. That's what which I think most of us would kind of respect, but then again, you have TMZs, you have social media.
People are going to poke and prod, and we saw last week the release from Rasmus Dahlin. Like, that stuff was crazy with his wife and that. Like,
yeah, his fiance there in going.
You deal with that in private and then just come out with it.
Let me, for people who aren't familiar with that story, Tim, Rasmus Dahlin is in France, and his fiance, and they're on a vacation, she's sick. Okay. Well, next day she's really sick. Next day, oh gosh, we got to go to the hospital, hon. Hey, we do all these tests. Oh, sorry, you need a new heart. What? She had a heart transplant. And so imagine that. You're in a different country, different language, all these other barriers. She's now back in Sweden, her home country, recovering, but that means that Rasmus Dahlin, with his job being over here, he doesn't get to see her. So, like, that's, again, me bitching about my transmission, there's other real-world problems out there. How are things going for the new ESPN app? Well, glad I asked myself this question. They had a final alert on Sunday, and I'm not one to put up alerts. I think it's just, in fact, I try to minimize that stuff. I text, of course, but, silence I'm a big part of, but, like, when it comes to posts on X and everything, I'm not getting alerts. But a lot of people like this, so you do you. Alert from ESPN app, Arizona 15, San Francisco 13, the final. Except that wasn't the final.
Oh, no.
San Francisco winning 16-14. How does that even happen in this day and age?
It happens a lot based on I don't subscribe to the notifications either, but I see this on Twitter, the screenshots of it and whatnot. The ESPN app, if it's not an ESPN covered game, it just decides it's over when the horn goes zero. There is no play. It's just, nope, that's it, zeros. And then 20 minutes later, you're actually scrolling through it. Like, for example, if you're going through your betting apps and you saw the other notification first and you see a different result, you're like, what the hell happened?
This is like, it's encouraging to know, like, at least for the time being, we are smarter than the computers.
Yes.
Because how many times have you, like, okay, I'm going to look this up, and AI will tell you, it's not right. You have no idea what you're talking about. And then you got to dig a little deeper here. So we have time for last call. Last call is for you here in the Sports Bar. We'll set you up for tomorrow as well. Our phone number, 866-4FAN, 866-4326 here on the Fan Rochester.
As our inside analysis here at One Bills Live as we cover the team here every day.
We are your one-stop shop for Bills football, Monday to Friday, 1 to 3 p.m. and noon to 3 after game days. It's One Bills Live with Chris Brown and Steve Tasker on 95.7 FM and AM 950 The Fan, Rochester.
Straight up with no chaser. You're in the Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia on the Sports Leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950 The Fan, Rochester.
Friend Jeremy White from WGR just retweeting this. Did you know the Jets-Dolphins game has already been flexed for next Monday night?
Awesome. No, I did not, because we were actually complaining about that this week.
Yes, it's been flexed to Comedy Central.
You tricked me.
Yeah.
It should be flexed.
Who thought it was a good idea to schedule that game? You knew the Jets were going to be bad. We kind of figured the Dolphins were a mess, too. I understand that it's New York, and you got to put this team because it is New York once in prime time.
I spent all of this Sunday wondering what the Giants were doing in prime time, and I think I was vindicated for it. Like, the first half was competitive, but it wasn't good.
Well, see, the funny thing is, like, they could be fun. They should be fun.
Jameis Winston, yes.
Or Jackson Dart.
We'll see.
That's funny. Malik Neighbors, Cam Scatterbo. That's a fun little offense. Wan'Dale Robinson.
There's some Cam Scatterbo memes out there that are incredible. There's one there are two types of white running backs. One, cerebral Christian McCaffrey, and crayon eater Cam Scatterbo. I love it.
I will just leave that alone.
Oh, come on.
And let you do that. So, Scatterbo brings that kind of, I don't know, he runs hard. When you're running hard like that, and I was listening to the Giants radio network of all things on WFAN, Sunday night. I'd take my son home and, I just pulled that up. But he, I guess Kyle Brandt has really taken a liking to Cam Scatterbo because of the angry runs.
Angry runs.
That's all he does. He's going to run into a lot. Well, the way Scatterbo kind of runs the ball, I think it lends itself maybe to get hurt at some point.
I mean, he's got that role because somebody else got hurt, and eventually, if you run yourself literally into the ground, chances are you are not going to come out on the better side of it. But in the meantime, it sure is exciting and fun to watch, and now he's in that starter's role. Tracy's out for a bit, so Scatterbo having an opportunity now to prove himself as an RB1.
Last call is for you, where, hey, like, during the show, like over the course of the show, if you want to call but it's not on topic, we might not take you. This is the one where, like, okay, you get to choose the topic. You get to call your shot. 866-4FAN. The take that you've been wanting. Our resident Jet fan, Peter.
Okay.
Peter, you had me nervous on Sunday, but I should have known it was the Jets. Eventually we'd be okay. How are you today, Peter?
I mean, you could just dig me deeper, man. I mean, here you are talking about how bad the Monday night game is, and you're talking about going over to Comedy Central. It might as well be on public access, North Dakota. And, I just want to say, Bills fans, listen to Gene. You have it good. Enjoy it. Enjoy the present, because you could be a Jets fan. And right now, I'm going to get going and leave you on this with this, okay? All right. So enjoy your night.
All right. Thank you, Peter. And I hear the little one in the background. No, I don't think we take this for granted. And the Jets being like one of the few fan bases that, unless you were around for, Joe Willie Namath, the finger in the air in the Orange Bowl, you don't know what it's like. What is a couple years with Rex Ryan? Like, what does success look like? And you could say, well, they got the two more championships.
Matters.
Like every other fan base. I shouldn't say every. You're still waiting for your glory here.
Perpetual.
As a Browns
Bart
fan.
Scott couldn't wait, and he's still waiting. So that's how bad it's been for the Jets. It's been a rough go of it since Bart Scott squelched out. Can't wait.
You think of all those failed high-pick quarterbacks. Figure, like, Zach Wilson came after Josh Allen. Now Zach Wilson to Miami as a backup. It's so weird to think that the Jets have just tried and tried and tried again. And then, hey, we have Sam Darnold, but because you mismanaged him so much. Sam Darnold won 15 games last year. Not for you.
it's hard to hit on quarterback, and when you do, cherish it, which I think might have been the direct point that he was making.
Yeah,
with Josh Allen, this team is capable of anything, and you get to, as a Bills fan, enjoy the misery of everybody else except for like two other teams with quarterbacks.
But you know what? It's like we paid our dues. That's the way I looked at it. Like you were in a division so many years with Tom Brady, and granted, and there's a whole generation of Bills fans that don't know anything about the Super Bowl years. Actually, probably you could say two generations, Tim. Like, that's where we're at right now. Yeah, it's X would be one generation. Millennials kind of sort of heard about it. Maybe your kids, and everybody after that, Gen Z, and no idea what I'm talking about. Tomorrow on the show, he called it. PJ Glasser last week on this show said Cleveland over Green Bay. What do you know? It happened. PJ Glasser gets to give us more winners tomorrow in the sports bar. A very cool event coming up at Highmark Stadium, too, that you can be involved in. We'll get into that at the RT Big Shot tomorrow. If you missed any of today's show, well, don't worry. We got you covered. Just download the Odyssey app. You can go back and listen in time in the Rewind feature. You should download the Odyssey anyways, because it's got all fantastic sports content for you free of charge. Coming up next is the JR Sport Brief. We're back at it tomorrow, 3 to 6. My name's Gene Battaglia with Tim Schneider, and this is The Fan Rochester. Have a good night, everyone.
You're listening to the Sports